United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, this is the part of the meeting that we open it up to someone that's not on the agenda to be able to communicate something to us. We'll say that we can't act on anything. We can take it under advisement and at the next meeting be able to discuss it or have some sort of thing. So, Casey, I know you aren't on the agenda, but I saw where you said you wanted to be here. So, go ahead if you got something you want to share.
Sure. You stand up. Or
Yeah, you can come up here and sit or whatever. Yeah, if you come up here, you're going to be on camera. So.
Try not to break it.
It can't be broken.
So first of all, thank you. Again, my name is Casey Brewster. Know you guys, but for those who don't, my real job is as Assistant Superintendent, CFO, Scott County School District 2. But several things in addition to that are going on. One of those being, as you know, I've been involved with the group that's been working through the Ready Grant project for Scott County. That actually started even prior to my involvement with Jamie Topey and a lot of other community folks, and this is going back, a year ago. And we know that they arrived at a project, that being a sports complex. I'm just doing a real quick kind of catching people up. But our project was one of the projects that was presented to the RDA, our Southern Indiana, the Regional Development Authority, of which Scott County is a part of, and was selected as one of the projects to go basically be presented to the IEDC in Indianapolis late in 2021. Ended up that the region was awarded $50 million of that $500 million Ready Grant total, and which was the maximum allowed per region. Of that, there's an amount that, I'm going to use the correct word, but whether it's earmarked or allocated to, or at least reserved for, but 5.8 million of that 50 million for our region was the amount that our project was looking to get. We would then be looking for local, county-wide, or even whether it's outside of the county, but match dollars. Public, private, and any donations, any financial commitments that would help to complete the funding that's needed to implement the project. That project being a sports complex with really two primary purposes. One is to meet the needs of our county residents, City of Austin, City of Scottsburg, county-wide residents, taxpayers, and people that all of us represent, work for every day, whether that be through programming for all ages, little ones to those with lots of experience, and everything in between. So in addition to meeting the needs, the health and exercise fitness needs of our local community members, the other purpose is to drive revenue, economic impact for our county, and outside of our county, really for this region, in the ever-growing sports tourism business. And so the facility, in what would be considered phase one, at least the plan at this point, and this isn't my plan, this is a plan that the group has continued to work toward, but the plan at this point is to start with, as phase one, the indoor facility. That, again, and the conceptual plan, and we'll learn more from a feasibility study that I can mention here in just a few minutes, but the conceptual plan was looking at somewhere between 8 to a dozen or maybe more courts that would be converted easily from volleyball to basketball, indoor space that could be used for tennis, skill development, as well as indoor tennis to some extent, maybe up to a couple of courts, but that also would be convertible for other activities, whether it be pickleball or other things that may be popular at the time, and then space with some synthetic turf indoor for anything that maybe it's adult league, flag football to youth soccer to youth football or again just for skill development, 7-on-7 tournaments, those kinds of things. Now we have lots of ideas, but ultimately where we're at today is we've just recently learned that the Indiana Economic Development Corporation and Ernst & Young reviewed 12 projects from our region. Ours was one of those projects. And the reason they needed to review it, and this was last week, or the purpose for that review, the primary purpose was to identify whether sources of funds, which at this point they're looking at the Ready Grant dollars, are appropriate and would meet the eligibility guidelines for use of those funds from the federal government, because the Ready Grant funds are in fact ARPA funds.
Yeah.
And so, there was a lot of confusion, a lot of discussion, statewide as to what wouldn't be allowed. And so, people were kind of, on the edge of their seat waiting to see exactly where they came in on this. We were given, we call it a heads up, or just a kind of a brief informal explanation even prior, going back a couple of months ago, that because our facility was really, the purpose was to target the health and fitness needs of our residents, of our communities, and certainly to sustain that, the revenue that we would be bringing in through hosting tournaments in various sports year-round, that revenue would go a long way to sustain the facility that would in large part benefit our local community. And those health benefits primarily are one of the reasons why it's eligible. And so it was determined last week, and it was communicated to us that our project was approved. And at that stage, approved means it's eligible to utilize those grant dollars that they're awarding. So therefore, it was kind of the last big hurdle. Our project has been selected within our region. It's been included in the regional project list at the state level. It meets the eligibility requirements for use of funds. And so the next step is a step that ultimately we would have loved to have taken several months ago, and that is completing a feasibility study. But you're looking at what may be, and this is just a guess, 30 to 40 to 50,000 for the comprehensive study that we're looking for to really help give us some very clear direction. That would have been out-of-pocket expense without, without a guarantee that someone's going to be paying for that, right? And so we now know, and the IEDC has confirmed, that once the RDA approves, as we bring them 3 proposals, at least 3, approves moving forward with one of the consultants for that study, that can be paid for using the Ready Grant funds. And so, as I said, it's been nice to have that long ago, because certainly we would be a little bit further along in solidifying the details of exactly what the facility needs, what the market needs, regionally and throughout the Midwest, to make sure that we're putting ourselves in a competitive position to host the tournaments that need to be hosted. But so with all that, we are where we are. So the feasibility study, we anticipate will either engage with someone and go ahead and get some dollars locally that we can pay for it if need be in the short term, and making sure that we're communicating with representatives of the RDA so that everyone knows what the other hand is doing. Or if it looks like the RDA will meet relatively soon, possibly in the next 30 to 40 days, the timing may be fine to where we can just have that information ready for them to approve, and if they do approve it, then we can move forward. And I appreciate the time, and I hope I'm not taking too much, but I'm going to wrap this up in about 60 seconds. So where we're at today is I can say confidently, and I think we can all move forward confidently, is knowing that we've got almost $6 million in grant dollars that we'll be able to utilize and put toward the sports complex that our communities identified through much of the work that, as I said, that Jamie Topey and others have done. And we can get started just as soon as we get the feasibility study completed, the RDA approves and signs off on what they need to, and then it's at that point that I won't say very quickly, but as quickly as we want, we can then begin to have serious conversations about formal agreements, interlocal agreements, determine, kind of solidify financial commitments, support for the project, and make sure that every government body, unit, member is comfortable with the terms of all of that. In other words, that you're not committing to more than what you know that you can commit, and that if there are strings that need to be attached, we need to lay all those out and let the attorneys attach those strings for us, right? So that we can make sure that all of our constituents are protected in the way that we know we should, and that we've got the revenue source that we're anticipating is we've got a group that can oversee that and actually make sure that that happens. So I'd be happy to take questions that you have or anyone has at this point if you have time, and if not, I'll step away and know that I'll be back again for a meeting next Tuesday. There's a meeting at 9.
Council.
Yes, of the council. And but of course, I think all of you have gotten email updates from me, and so if you have other questions, please fire my way. We just look forward to whatever support this group can also provide, and we'll work together and get it done.
So on the 5.8, what is that a matching grant, or is that money they're gonna give, and what's the matching part?
So big picture, that's about 20% of what the calculations are as far as economic impact to this area. Meaning there's gonna be a $5.8 million investment plus local match, but they're looking at 60%. So we've got 20, 20, and 60. I'm going to confuse you, and I promise that I'll bring it back and simplify it. So the 60%, because this was a conversation early on that just wasn't clear to most of us, that really are going to be dollars that are going to be coming into our community, that are going to be generated. It's going to be, building hotels or restaurants or whatever it is that continues to improve and expand. But those are dollars that we can't worry about now. So the simplest way for me, and hopefully others to look at it, is we really need to come up with $1 for every dollar of that 5.8 million that we want to spend. So in other words, 5.8 and 5.8 is 11.6, and so if we want to spend 11.6, if that in fact is what's approved, and we've got a project equaling that, we're going to have to come up with the other 5.8. If we can only come up with 5, I think we just have to expect that means that we can only use 5 of the grant. There may be other things that transpire, but that's the best information I have to go
So it's 100%
for.
grant, or 100% match. Then.
Dollar for dollar match would be a good way to look at it.
And you're not here asking all that much. You're talking about is that there could be several agencies
Yes.
involved and come up with some money.
Not here asking for anything,
Yeah.
actually.
Just update.
Yeah, just updating you. Now, when the time comes where there's going to need to be some financial commitments, the ask will be rather significant.
Yeah.
And 7 figures significant. Whether or not that'll be an option, whether or not, whether it's, remains to be seen. But everything I hear and see, I think that there's plenty of support for the project. It's just about making sure that we're good stewards with the taxpayers' dollars.
There could be some community involvement.
Absolutely,
Bring them into it.
which we anticipate as part of that feasibility study this summer, and which, in order to survey and get to the bottom of exactly what the needs are of the different user groups and individual groups within our community, they're going to need to talk with them. They're going to need to engage with them. We're going to need to invite them in, so they're going to need to know what it's about and the benefits of it, and make sure that we're getting input from all sectors.
Steve, you got any input? And then Steve's part of the RDA,
So
so
I'm your representative.
since you're our
Casey's
representative,
done a fantastic job.
Thank you.
He presented in front of the IEDC people when they came down, and they have been very favorable looking at this. And as Casey said, it's not something that you turn a switch on, they're gonna build. It's something you gotta look down, a little farther than your hand down the road. And that's why it's confusing to a lot of people, but it's a tremendous opportunity for the county. I think IEDC expressed that, and they were very, very impressed with our presentation, their presentation, excuse me. But the whole total projects that we have had, a very favorable reaction to it. So we're very fortunate that Casey and his crew has done an excellent job presenting themselves, and like I said, this is a regional kind of thing. They're looking at this regionally, and all I can say is we're still waiting for the IEDC to give us a grant agreement so we can start getting money coming in.
Yeah.
And I think it's their problem that they just have been overwhelmed, because we were really pretty prepared. We could have been a little better, more prepared if we'd have done this in 2015, but we haven't. But now that we're on the right track, they recognize that the process that we went through and the program we presented was very, very, it was fantastic. And we are having a meeting April 29th at the Pineview Government Center in Floyd County, where hopefully, right, that we'll have a grant agreement.
The draft came down today.
Oh, I haven't even heard that.
Draft.
The draft.
I think it's just something for us to look at until they wrap up the final bit.
So we're starting the process. We're learning every week that sort of change. And it's not something that's set in stone. It's moving. There are a lot of moving parts.
See, I think that's where I was confused, was that they said, oh yeah, Southern Indiana got $50 million, then there's X amount of projects, and then, okay, and I think I even called you the day that I knew that you guys got the 50 million. It's like, okay, is our project approved? Well, you know, and then it just like, you know, put on the brakes and back up 10 feet, but, so it is, I'm sure it is a slow process, but, so when, I mean, do you know a projected date that they're gonna give you a drop dead? Yes, you have the money, or no, you don't have the money?
The money is there. That's not the problem. The problem is getting the grant agreement so that we get the money. And they will not deposit the whole $50 million in our bank account, I'll tell you that. We learned that Friday.
Okay.
And just,
I mean, there are a lot of great projects that were submitted. I always took the path that, you know, Scott and Washington County and even Jefferson County were at the periphery of River Ridge, which is the engine that drives the whole region.
Yeah.
And so I think the expectations that we had and the groups had has been very favorable, and you know, the IEDC looked at it very favorably. And so I'm on 100%. Hopefully, you know, you all have been very supportive, and we've got a lot of different, you know, the city of Austin, the city of Scottsburg, everybody's involved, and we're trying to keep that on track. And the corporation, the school corporation, has been excellent.
Okay.
I just want to say for the people at home watching this, when you say a region, everybody needs to know it's Scott, Washington, Jefferson, Clark, and Floyd County.
Five
So
counties, the
each
RDA.
one of those counties has put in something for they want in their region. They're part of the region.
And I wish we'd put more in.
Yeah, yeah.
But also, from what Steve has said, and Casey as well, is that the project has to be something that's not just dedicated to Scott County. It has to be something that would
Yes.
benefit the region and not just Scott County. And all those projects were the same way. They have to do something regionally to draw from the other counties, and not just, you know, something for themselves. So.
And thank goodness that was the case, because it forced people to think big.
Oh yeah, I was at some of those
Think big.
early meetings and like, how do you think that away? So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I've used my 4.5 minutes, and so I have a T-ball meeting to go to, but thank you very
All
much.
right.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
All right, anyone else? Michael?
Speaking of regionalism, I was the one that put the propaganda in your mailbox about the upcoming bus trip
Yes.
to northern Kentucky. And it's designed very similar to, you know, as you're discussing the regionalism, because there's been a lot of cooperative efforts and successful programs that have been designed out of northern Kentucky and the Cincinnati area that aligned Southern Indiana's leadership committee felt that it would be great to get as many governmental leaders involved in this bus trip as possible. And it's coming up here in May, 12th actually, and we'd love to have you involved. We know you've got busy schedules, but if you can make it, that would be great. The second half of what I put in your mailbox, besides the promotional flyer, is the actual agenda. And you can see the speakers that are associated with the event. And it is a full day, but it is, there's lunch included. So wanted to make you aware of that. The other reason I wanted to come in and talk to you today is that there was a statement made in a recent public meeting about, and this is to the effect that the Scott County Visitors Commission does nothing to support our community or Scott County organizations. So once again, I find myself here before the commission and in a public forum to basically dispute that particular comment. I've got a document that I'm going to pass out to you.
First of all,
Yes.
and what, was it in our meeting?
Let's just say it was in a meeting where our commissioners were involved, members of our council were involved.
So a joint meeting,
It was a joint meeting.
okay. Well, we haven't had one of those for a while, so that's where I was asking.
It was a month or so ago.
Yeah,
So the information that I compiled in this report basically goes back and pulls from meeting minutes, financial records from the Scott County Visitors Commission from 1999 to present date. And what we found over the last 23 years and a few months, the Scott County Visitors Commission has awarded grants, sponsorships for events, and promotional payments to support tourism efforts for Scott County in the tune of $1,568,865.90. Now, the report that I'm sharing with you tonight basically is a breakdown of those dollars by organization and by the year that they were awarded. And I just want to take a moment and identify some notable community and or organizations that have been referenced specifically of not being supported by our organization in various forums. For instance, the City of Austin and their support of their Firemen's Festival and their beautification committee, $35,220.48. The City of Scottsburg, their beautification committee, Christmas lights, fire department, and various miscellaneous, $51,213.56. The Leota Country Frolic, and that festival, we've awarded $23,006 to that event. Lexington Old Settlers Days, $54,396.62. Hold on to your hats for this one. The Preservation Alliance and the Scott County Heritage Center and Museum, $383,991.09. Scott County, Pigeon Roost County Park, and including the Scott County Economic Development Corporation, $143,190. And our Scott County Fair Board, $168,250. I just think it's important to also note that the information and the financials that I just shared with you, as well as what's contained in this report, does not include any direct advertising commitments that we have made, such as billboards, print, social media, or support of nonprofit advertising. So, in closing, I just want to thank you for the opportunity to clarify this in a public meeting and to identify that the Scott County Visitors Commission has and will continue to support our local festivals, events, and organizations as long as their programs and committees are trying to follow our organization's mission, which is to engage in activities which are likely to bring tourists, overnight stays, business travelers to Scott County and to make their stay here a very positive experience.
sounds good.
Thank you for allowing me this opportunity.
All right, appreciate it.
Sure. Yes, sir.
I'd like to, real quick, say that, you know, I'm not sure what to say. All right. But I apologize if somebody is saying something like that. I don't know, I'm not going to, I don't know the backstory,
We're not
but I
gonna
think
get
you
into the
guys have done
backstory.
a really good job.
Thank
And I don't think you deserve necessarily that type
We've
of.
recently fallen under a lot of criticism, and we have spent a lot of time correcting a lot of statements that have been made. And this was one of those that I felt was necessary, because when someone says in a public forum, and again, in today's society, because of the availability of videotapes and audio tapes and social mediums, as well as cell phones for that matter, you get a lot of misinformation that is disseminated out in the public. Scott County is a relatively small county. Everybody knows everybody. Everybody talks to everybody. I mean, that's a great thing and a bad thing all at the same time. So when comments are made in a public forum like this and they are incorrect, yeah, I feel that it's real important to come in and just kind of set the record straight so that there's no miscommunication, or what lines of miscommunication or misunderstanding is corrected. And not everybody likes to pick up the phone and say, hey Mike, hey Randy, I've got a question, or John, can you help explain this in a little more depth and detail? And it's unfortunate, but everybody is more inclined to go, well, I got this text from so-and-so, or I read this on Facebook. And now all of a sudden, that whole misinformation, miscommunication is just exacerbated. And that's why I wanted to come in today. Not to pick on anyone or any group in particular, it's just to come in and clarify, set it straight so we can all move forward and get the misinformation, the miscommunication, and open a door for communication. You and I, Randy, had this conversation about how important it is to be transparent and open those doors of communication, be there to listen and have good conversations. And this is how it starts, and just getting it out there. And that's why I'm not here pointing fingers, pointing blame, doing anything other than just making the general statement. It was said, I'm here to clarify, and I just want to move forward.
Well, I'll echo what Randy said. I think there were some questions. I think you've answered them all. You know, your board's answered questions that that were brought up, and I think you've answered them correctly and honestly. And I just, like I said, I don't think it's been a relation to you or so.
None of it has been taken personally. Just
Well, I mean, I hope that, because I think you've done a good job, and I hope you continue to do a good job. So,
I'll give you my best.
that's all we ask. That's all anybody asks. So,
Gentlemen, thank you very much.
appreciate it.
Do a great job.
Thank you very much.
Any
sir.
thanks? Call me. We'll talk more.
Thank you.
Thank you. So have a good evening.
All right, thank you. So we have any idea where he's at?
What's this is what he just showed us, wasn't it?
Yes.
I got one thing kind of
Oh.
off topic of the highway there. The sports complex, I assume that, that's one that you built for quality of life in Scott County, which I agree, I think it's a great thing, I hope it gets done. A lot of property in Scott County is getting a lot of investment firms that comes in. It's got an LLC on it, putting junk rentals in our county, and we're letting them out. We got some more coming in now. I don't know where the jurisdiction falls on the commissioner's end of things,
2 miles out from the city limits.
but, well, we have some coming that's 2
Think
miles
that's
out from the
changed.
city limits.
I've got a different topic. Go ahead.
Well, we have some coming that's within, 2 miles outside the city limits. So my curiosity is if you're an LLC and you're a company and you're renting homes, I mean, does it not fall under different jurisdictions? Does commissioners have anything to regulate on what they can bring in?
Area plan, and Marty can probably talk about that just a little bit more. There are regulations of what you can build, and if they're, outside of the city limits, and I say that 2 mile buffer, because once the city and the county are split apart from area plan, the city got a 2 mile buffer around the city limits for people that have city utilities, whether it's one utility or multiple utilities. But so 2 miles out, the city still has jurisdiction through area plan and stuff like that. Beyond the 2 mile, it falls under the area plan, the county's area plan, and we do have regulations and codes that you have to meet. So granted, if you meet the 950 square foot of home, I don't know if there's a whole lot more about the type of structure. We can't tell somebody to build all brick, or we can't tell them to build out of wood or vinyl siding or whatever, but you know, that would fall into them submitting a plan to the area plan. And I think, tell me I'm wrong, that if all those plans have to go to Homeland Security now to be approved.
If it is a commercial, yes.
Okay.
I think Kenny is referring to a small company that wishes to purchase used mobile homes and move them into Lexington.
Well, there is, if I'm not mistaken, and I could be mistaken here, because I'm gonna have to refer back to look at that, because where I'm going with that, and when I said that, I was thinking of the city, because at one time the city had a moratorium on mobile homes being placed any place besides in a mobile park.
Right.
Unless it's for medical issues or something with a family member. I don't know if the county, and I'm gonna say, I don't know, because that's something I've never looked at, but I know what you're talking about now when you said that, because
Well, the town of
I heard that was.
The town of Lexington had the sewer system put in, a few years back. I don't think it was put in for that kind of investment.
Well, let me table that and let me do some research on that, because I know it is for the city, but I don't know that it is for the county, but it could be something that we would look at, because I'm like you. We had the same problem with some other companies that came in and split up farms and sold 2 acres to everybody, and
We deal with them
and you
daily.
never know what the heck you got. I mean, some guy might build a $400,000 home on 2 acres, guy beside him roll a trailer in there. I mean, and that's just not fair to, quite honestly, either one of them. I mean, but it's definitely not fair for the guy that just spent $400,000 on a house that he, nobody, if he wanted to sell it, nobody'd ever buy it. So, and again, I'm not saying that those type of homes are not warranted. I mean, but there were parks that we put those in. I mean, I think there was a park didn't Binkley's have a park out on 356? So I mean, they were set up years ago, but I heard a little bit about
I feel like there's a difference between a homeowner living, in a mobile home that they bought and they put on their property than it is, somebody buying a $1,000 mobile home and then charging the public $1,000 a month to rent it.
Yep.
And it
I
becomes
agree.
everybody's problem then in the community.
Let me look into that, and I'll get back with you on that.
Thank you.
Guess
Had to hang up.
3 of the 4 projects, I think, are in the city though, that they're looking at.
the city.
Yeah.
City.
At least within a 2-mile radius, one, the other one would be Austin.
So you're talking about in the city of Scottsburg?
In the city of Scottsboro or within that 2-mile radius.
Okay.
The only one wouldn't be the one I'm talking about, the Ready Grant thing now. He was referencing that.
Oh, well, I think he was just
Yeah,
talking about.
talking about in general how they.
In general, about veterans, Scott County.
Yeah,
and
quality of life and better
quality of
Scott
life
County,
and
that's
veteran.
contradicting itself right there.
I'll promise you I'll check in on that, because I heard a little bit about that not too long ago. So anyway, with that,
Okay, I'll put you on speakers.
we got, the Young Marines MOU. We used
Got
to-
it on the phone.
Yeah.
Yeah, do you want to?
Zach, are you there?
I'm here.
Do you want to discuss or have any comments with this MOU before we do anything with it?
So, what I wanted to say is that I had received an email regarding, there was a specific term in the agreement in paragraph 7 that dealt with workers' compensation coverage. My understanding is that the Young Marines does not have any workers and therefore does not have any workers' compensation coverage. I just wanted everyone to be aware of that fact. And there is an additional term that I think I put in a new paragraph 7 that discusses the idea that this limited license to use the area will not create any implied or express obligation on the county's part as at any time in the future be, conceived as an employer of any of the staff or personnel of the Young Marines. I wanted that to be clear in the agreement. But just understand that before you take any action, that I don't believe that we've ever entered into an agreement without some form of coverage there for workers' compensation.
Okay.
So Ben, there's no workers, you got me a little lost on that. There's no workers, so they don't have to supply it, is that correct?
That's my understanding, but I believe that the representative of the Young Marines can speak to that issue specifically. I'm not exactly sure. It wasn't direct contact regarding the context of that, but it was by email.
So I'm asking him right now, Zach, so you're not an employee of the Young Marines?
The state of Indiana has no employees for the Young Marines. Everybody in the state of
It's a
Indiana is a volunteer.
Okay.
The Rust Insurance, who provides the $1 million insurance, is the ones having a pushback about having me or anybody from the Young Marines sign a contract saying that there will be workers' compensation insurance when there's no workers being compensated. That's the only sticking point so far with the contract.
And I understand that, but I want to be clear to something you just said. There's no workers in Indiana. So you are not a worker for the Young Marines?
I'm a volunteer.
Volunteer, okay. And anybody who would be at the site would be a volunteer as well?
Correct. Even if we do, like I had mentioned, and have a division, big thing, and people come from other states, they are also all volunteers. You have to be way up in the chain of command to be a paid member of the Young Marines. There's only like 4 in the whole nation or something that actually get compensated. So the fact that anybody would be working in Scott County that's getting paid by the Young Marines is not going to happen unless.
Well, I want to be clear, it can't happen.
Pardon me?
It can't happen, he said.
No, he said it can't happen.
Right, there's nobody going to make a claim for,
Okay.
because if one of my adult volunteers got injured while performing at the Young Marines,
Your insurance is gonna pay.
then they are actually in the system as an adult volunteer. That $1 million coverage is going to cover any medical or stuff like that, and then their personal insurance from where they have insurance would cover as well. There's nobody going to come after Scott County for workers' compensation if they have to miss work because of being injured while watching kids.
You good with that, Zach?
Yes. I mean, to the extent that I'm good with the representation that there are no workers that will be at the site. I just want, I would suggest that everyone take a look at paragraph 7 in that, and read it.
You're talking about the relationship between parties?
That's correct.
It's
And
subparagraph A,
I'm
second to
about to
last
pull
sentence.
into the parking lot. Or the
Well, I'll talk slow then.
okay.
All right, I'll see you in a minute.
Yep, all right.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and read this paragraph 7. I know he's talking about, it's a relationship between the parties. The parties hereby agree that this agreement is intended to be a license granting the Young Marines, the licensee, permission to engage in certain acts upon County of Scott County, the lessee premises, land, building, or other realty, nor shall any other relationship between the parties included but not limited to that of the landlord and the tenant, employer, employees, principal and agent, partnerships or joint ventures to be implied or created by ventures of this agreement. Furthermore, the parties acknowledge that the licensee shall retain control over its staff and other personnel as it relates to the means and manner and methods of use of the licensed area, subject to any other restrictions in this agreement, including but not limited to the date, the time, the place of the use of the licensee area. And I will read 8 while we're talking about insurance. With respect to the licensee area identified in the terms chart, A, licensee shall obtain and provide on or before commencement of the date to keep in force at all times thereafter insurance policy including coverage for damage and bodily injury with a minimum single limit of $1 million. Umbrella policies may be used to meet the coverage requirements. Section B, licensor shall be included in the policies as an additional insured. All policies will include a 30-day notice of cancellation to the certificate holder. Policies must be endorsed to include this notice. The insurance company must provide a copy of the policy endorsements with the policy number to verify notice will be given as required. The insurance company must also provide a copy of the additional insured policy endorsements with the policy number to verify the specific indemnities included. So, sounds to me like you have and you said it before, that the National Marines have a $1 million policy that you're covered under this particular thing.
I just read 7.
I have supplied copies of that, correct? Of the insurance company,
I don't have it, but I've seen it.
specifically stating that it's for Scott County, that it's been the right.
We're an additional insured on the.
Yes, I just read section 7 and section 8, just so everybody knows what it said, so.
I'd like to make sure, I think I'm right on this, even though you get the coverage and it'll fall back on you, that won't keep somebody from coming after the county.
Oh, it never does.
It just puts it, well, I don't wanna leave anybody the impression that it just gets us.
No, there's also an indemnification clause inside the agreement as well, so if his insurance company, the Marines would hold us harmless for any acts.
Who will?
The Young Marines insurance would
Okay.
hold the county harmless for any acts that were not the direct result of something that occurred because of the county.
Okay.
Yeah. Which is a normal.
Well, that's section 9 here. It says, with respect to the licensee area identified in the terms chart, starting with the date, the licensee first uses of occupies of the licensee area and all that. Yeah.
Shall defend, indemnify, and hold harmless license or its managers.
Yeah.
And we've got the 30 days notice if either party wants to bail, we can.
There's a 30-day notice to quit. Either
Yeah.
party can notice the other,
Yeah.
and the actual area is where the notices will be provided. So on the days when you're, there's specific days in the attached exhibit.
Yeah, I saw that being.
Dates and times. I did have a question about week 9, May 21st. There's 3 days listed on there. What is that?
Got Memorial Day.
Memorial Day.
That's an encampment where we'll be probably at Hardy Lake camping out, so we wouldn't be using I wouldn't be using the facility
Okay, I just
honestly.
wanted to-
And
yeah.
like I stated before, this is not a hard, fast, if we got our encampment planned for that week, but there's a typhoon coming through, then we'll switch flip-flop weeks and stuff like that, and I can let you guys know that.
Yeah,
in
as long
advance.
as I want to be clear, as long as the license area is used on the Saturdays identified in the times, I don't think there would be any problem with potentially changing those days, but again, access to the building cannot be given to anybody else.
Oh.
And
I'm on board with
only used on
that.
those days, okay?
Any more questions, John?
Whatever you go with the outdoor latrines. That was a concern, I think, wasn't
The
it?
agreement and there's a provision in the agreement that says that's the responsibility of the licensee, though we will have control over the placement of them,
I
so
mean, we paying for it or they paying for it?
we are not paying.
Okay. I just want to know.
We
Okay.
will be responsible for utilities associated with the additional, use of the building on not normal work days, though.
And does that mean we'll have to,
Well, Michelle's here,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, it's all in one unit. I talked to Josh and I talked to Midwest Gas and the city of Scottsburg, and basically they'll put in new meters, but you have to get somebody like SNL to come out and run these lines. And I know you guys talked about last time, like the sheriff's department uses that, and as another county department, state board of accounts told Teresa that as long as they pay an actual invoice, like that's kind of how we do it now is once every few months, the sheriff's department will pay the actual invoice for Midwest, to kind of cover their costs and gas use, and then we'll take the next few months and kind of go back and forth. But I don't know how that works with a nonprofit and a non-county department. So if you guys want to look into separating out the utilities, you'll just have to get a quote from SNL or Miller's, and then Midwest and the city will come do the meters for free, they said.
Well, is it true that right now the electric's on in the whole building?
Yeah,
And it's also true that the heat's on in the whole building?
yeah, there's gas right there.
Okay, so,
If I'm right, it's all coming out of your budget though,
Correct.
right?
Yeah, except
that's where
for-
the issue is
well, but
that-
I mean, even before the sheriff was in the rest of the building, I mean, even before he had that other, you were still doing that, but I'm trying to figure out, is it $10 more because somebody flipped the light on in the back
I
compared
mean,
to
I will
what
tell
it
you,
is?
my bills have gone up recently because we had our heat unit installed in our base. So, when I looked at my budget today, like, I'm technically over the 75, like, I only have like 65% of my utilities left, and I really should have like 75%.
Somehow or other, I
Thanks,
don't.
I'm trying to feel better. So, I think just in general, like, gas is more expensive. It's a bigger building. We're using more gas because we had that heat
You got it.
installed on our side,
You're-
so.
You're heating your bay areas for the drive-throughs.
I'm just trying to figure out a way so it won't come out of our budget.
I get
Yeah,
that, but I'm trying to figure out what it is.
yeah, right.
I mean,
Just,
if it's,
just so you guys realize, we're talking about 14 and a half hours a month.
Right.
That
Well, I
would
get
be in
that.
the buildings. Right.
I guess we can give the electric department and say, hey,
Yeah, I
you know,
can
what do you
look back
think?
at like 2020 bills, 21 bills, and then.
So if it goes down, you're gonna cut me a check?
Now it goes down.
Well, I mean.
It's a good idea,
I mean,
yeah.
right, fair is fair, right?
Let's look at it and see
Okay.
what it is, because there's no air conditioning back there, so
Well,
you're using it during the summer months, so all you're gonna have is some lights on.
Right.
You're gonna be there in the daytime, so you
Correct.
may not have too many lights on anyway.
Right.
So,
The heat is already there, already running.
and that's what I'm saying, it's already been running, and I don't think it's ever been shut off since we took over the building.
I think there was a point in time we turned it off like when we first moved in, just to cut back, because nobody was ever
back
back there,
there.
but since more people, the sheriff's. are-
Can you look back on when you first came in, what a bill is now, and
Yeah,
I know the rates have went up, but I mean, just to see if it's.
I can give you usage,
Yeah,
that would be a
if
better idea. not
yeah, that's
the
good.
price.
Okay, all right. So, any more questions?
No.
Brandy, you,
Well, I'd like to bring it to a vote.
so
I would
guess I'll
suggest
entertain.
voting to authorize Mike to sign the agreement outside of a meeting contingent upon
Here you go, change.
the change has been made at just the Young Marines headquarters being okay with this, right? You don't have the authority
Right,
to sign this currently.
Up until today, I thought I did, but every step of the chain of command has pushed it all the way up to the national director. The chief operating officer of the Young Marines is who's going to be looking at this and signing off on it, so it's,
And you're talking about the part that says the workman's comp thing.
no, that was from the insurance company that didn't
Oh, okay.
want that in there. He's the one that's gonna be the authorized signature on the contract with you.
If I'm reading this right, you gotta have his signature to be able to use the building.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
because I want, like I said, I want everything above board. I'm not trying to pull a fast one or an end around on anybody. I wanna,
Do you have an idea of when, you'll know?
if you guys agree and everybody says yes, then I will email him it as soon as I leave here. I have his,
Okay. Well, we can-
hopefully, as soon as possible.
Again, I would say contingent upon
Him getting approval.
him getting approval to sign the agreement.
Because I know
and
it'll,
providing it up here, yeah.
and it,
I'd like to make a motion that let Mike, sign the agreement, on a contingent that you
can get retired Colonel Bill Davis to sign off.
to sign off on the agreement.
I'll second that.
Randy made a motion to accept the agreement with the Young Marines, Scott County Young Marines, on the terms that they're waiting for their, you say he was a
Retired Colonel
retired colonel,
Bill Davis.
Bill Davis, to authorize their signature on this agreement. John seconds that, and I guess I'll make that unanimous, so I'll hold on to this until you tell us that it's approved. And then,
Don't move in yet.
I completely understand. You want me to send him a copy, have him sign it and send it back, and then you'll sign it,
I'll
correct?
sign it.
Outstanding.
Do you want a copy?
Here's a copy
Oh,
right here.
I have it on, I have it, thank you. Appreciate it.
Good.
Outstanding.
Well, I'd like to say thank you guys for helping out with this and allowing them to move in.
And
It's a really good thing for our community.
full disclosure has nothing to do with what just happened here, but I did grow up in a trailer. I'm just poking fun.
I own a trailer too, so I
Thanks a lot.
know exactly what it
Gentlemen, I
is.
appreciate you. Thank you so much. Appreciate
Thank you.
it, Zach. Thanks for all your help on this, gentlemen.
Appreciate it.
Hope-
Appreciate what you're
Hope it's a
doing.
long-lasting
Yeah.
endeavor. Thank you.
Thank you
so
for what
much.
you do, your volunteerism.
Thank you again.
Appreciate it.
What are you getting up for?
Oh, she was
Psych.
saying.
Yeah, I know, right? I guess not.
Now here comes Marty. So
Yeah, now we're going. All right, well, I'll first say, and I apologize, I have a coughing problem, so I have something to resolve that issue. I know, right?
Marty's going in for a close-up.
Right.
Oh, well, that'll look good on TV, won't it?
Yeah, that'll be so good.
You better move back a little
Put
bit.
your picture out on.
I've got a Porva right again with our office, and myself. We were supposed to be here at the last meeting, but I had the flu, so here we are.
The regular flu?
Flu A is what I had. Yeah, it was fun. If you have not heard already, DNR has issued a letter that they are awarding $70,000 in more lake and river enhancement grant funds to the county. You can thank Aporva for that. She prepared that application. I was I was just there for moral support.
Thank you.
So the DNR, this is a grant from DNR to the county?
Yep, for $70,000. Kind of a,
To be
not
used-
really, it was a new application, but a continuation of what you've been doing to clean out those
Yeah,
log
and
jams.
Okay, so this there, that's
Yeah.
what
We
I
had
thought.
40,000.
I was gonna
Yeah.
say, we
Yeah.
had 40,000
So is
last.
this on top of the 40?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
good. There you go,
Yeah.
drainage board.
Yeah. So, $70,000 is what has been included in the letter. Local match, so the total project cost that we submitted was $140,000. The way they said it to us, there were other projects, it's becoming more competitive. They wanted to spread the love, so to speak.
So we got half of it.
Half, okay, which now makes your local match a total of, where's that?
This.
I didn't put the, your local match portion would be $8,750. And if you recall, Jackson County Soil and Water Conservation District committed to half of what the local match would end up being. They actually committed to more than this because your request was way more in the application. That's that. Our River Hills contract is exactly what we charged last year, $1,500. I emailed that to Zach for review earlier this month. Of that, the Soil and Water Conservation District in Jackson County also committed to paying half of our contract. So you will only be responsible for $750 of that contract. I needed to ask Tammy
So
how.
we're at $9,500.
Essentially, yes, yeah. And your portion of that local match can be in kind.
Mm.
Okay.
So in other words, the highway department helping to equipment or whatever.
You just gotta track it, keep good track of it, and if you have any questions, let us know. The River Hills.
Can you find that kind of money, Kevin? I'm not asking for money, I'm asking for labor.
Anything else you could say?
He did this.
That was on the money thing.
Right.
I'll put you first on the agenda. Just bargaining chips there.
Porva has our contract there, if you would like to entertain, approving it.
Okay, I'm gonna ask a question here. If, out of our part of this, would we have to go to council for that, or would we have to,
We have drainage board funds. We have about $9,000 to $10,000 every year. It's not a whole lot of money budgeted out of general fund for drainage board, but we also have a drainage maintenance fund that we can go to the drainage board and probably be able to come up with the contract amount that we would owe for our share, and then also match monies depending on what we're able to do as far as like if we borrow county equipment or whatever in kind that we can use towards that project. Like the county excavator has been used before at certain times, or we would again come up with
dump
invoices.
trucks or?
Yeah, things
So-
that we need to haul debris away or stuff like that, we can probably come up with.
So I guess the question here is that, do we pay up front and then or do we, till the end of the project, we say, we haul 100 ton or 100 loads of debris off or whatever, and then you could say it, you know, whatever the running rate is of haul bill.
We will talk to Doug about making sure we know how to track that
That's fine,
appropriately.
yeah.
And we will be meeting with him, that's in my notes on down the
Okay.
line.
What will
so.
be considered.
So one way or the
in
other,
kind,
Right.
we have the money in hand, or we have the money.
We have enough
And if in
funds.
case Kevin can, you know, help out a little bit, we can cut that off a little bit maybe.
Well, and just for the people who are watching video again, that's Lake and River Enhancement Grant, and it's about cleaning our Muscatatuck River, Stucker Creek, and all them things out. Because I know we did a whole lot this weekend talking about Boatman Road, and I don't think this is gonna cure our problems, if people think it is, but it will allow those things to drain faster. And this is something that's not gonna be a one-time thing, this is gonna be something we're gonna be doing for years. And this is the state helping us clear this stuff
Yeah, so
out.
how many, right now, how many log jams do we have? How many?
Seven.
Seven?
Seven.
I thought that was the answer, but,
It'll still be flooding, it'll just help drain it.
Yeah. so, okay. Well, I guess I'll entertain a motion to give me authority to sign these, this grant, I guess it is, or a contract, for $70,000, with our part being, I'm saying $9,550.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Randy makes the motion to allow me to sign the contracts, for the DNR grant. John seconds that, and I'll make that unanimous, so.
Okay, so that's our River Hills contract. The grant agreement will be coming down. It's forthcoming, so, in the next few weeks. Tammy, that will come through to your email.
Okay.
And they have said, and I know you already know this in working with DocuSign, check your spam regularly, because they said it could dump into there.
Go into there.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And you said, we don't need a motion for that grant agreement since they approved, is that right?
We already took care of the application process.
Right.
And once they've approved the contract with you all for the
That's what I thought was
services
said.
for
Okay.
administration, I think we're good, because then it's gonna be up to drainage board to ask for the appropriation if there's money to be appropriated for
Okay.
match or whatever.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right,
I think
sounds
we're
good. Next steps, that's one of them also. Doug, as I mentioned, with DNR, Doug Nussbaum will be convening a meeting once the grant agreement is fully executed. Did we get an email about that today? I feel like maybe not. Anyway, we'll let you know. If any of you all want to, attend for any reason.
I think it was something about eligible.
That's right, yeah, you're right. So, other information pertaining to that, I would just highly encourage, you still have money left from last year's grant. The way I asked Doug, can they reapply next year? Well, possibly, but he wants to see those funds spent. So we really need to work on
The
trying to.
original 40.
Yeah, well, the original 40, but I would also
work on the new.
I would work on the new one now. You do have this is a 2-year grant, so, I would just make sure that one's exhausted for sure.
Yeah.
During this year, and then have a good start, I would say, on the other one. Yeah, on the new
We
one.
spent down about half of the 40 already.
I think it was
right?
about half.
It was close.
Mhm.
It might just been shy of
Like
half.
18, 19
Yeah.
maybe. Yeah.
So, and I think once we can get back in there,
Mm-hmm.
we can have
That was part of
invoices
the problem.
from
Yeah.
KLB to hopefully expend the rest in the spring, I
Mhm.
hope, and then that will be cleared, correct? And then we can move forward
Yep.
with the 70.
Mhm.
Which, will we have to have conversations with Jackson County? Or how we're gonna approach these log jams because they're partnering with us?
Well, it's probably something we need to speak with Jackson County about. I say we, actually Everett.
Because they'll have an in-kind
We'll need to
possibly
speak
match,
with.
too.
Yeah, yeah. And how would you like, do you want us to talk to Jackson County and see if they're willing to just send you a check to put in a fund?
I don't care
For
to be
this?
the pass-through for
Okay.
that, that's fine, I don't, that's
Okay.
fine, however they want, however they feel comfortable,
Okay.
I'm good with it.
Just be sure to,
Yeah.
yeah, if you don't mind. Yeah.
That's fine.
And then,
Well, actually, the grant was issued to Scott County.
it is.
Jackson County just said, we'll pay half of it or
Okay.
some of it.
We'll pay half the local
Yeah.
match
So
and the River Hills
grant came to
contract.
us, so we probably should be the pass-through.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, that's-
definitely. Yeah, I think you're just, those log jams that have to do with Jackson, I guess, one side it's Jackson, one side it's Scott is how I understand it, so.
So the approach and provision to work and that type of stuff, I don't know how much they're gonna help with getting, you know what I'm saying?
Right, I
Access to
do.
the properties on the
Yeah.
other side, if
Yeah.
they have to be on the other side of
Right,
work.
right,
Yeah.
no. I
We'll
understand.
work all
Yeah.
that out with the
We'll,
drainage
we'll,
board
we'll
and
ask
that.
Doug and, yeah. Okay, moving on. I am going to be preparing closeout documents for your COVID-19 Phase 3 grant that you received to grant those small business grants late last year. So I'd just like to ask for authorization for Commissioner Jones to sign any of those I need him to sign outside of a meeting.
No. I'll make the motion.
Okay.
All right, John makes a motion to allow me to sign for the, to close out the COVID grants to local businesses.
I'll second that.
Randy seconds that, and I'll make that unanimous.
Sounds great. Okay, now why Marty's here.
Money.
Right, okay. As you know, we had initiated and exhausted efforts on your prior income survey that we attempted.
Again?
Well, no, just the first one. When I came back, we had talked about getting some volunteers together, and that was kind of our standstill. We didn't get beyond that point. Since we've had those conversations, I will let you know our office has written and submitted 2 grant applications for planning grants for comp plans from 2 communities within the region that we serve, and neither were funded. It's very competitive. The first one that I submitted, it was actually for the city of Scottsburg. 6 out of 12 were funded. It's just, it's not what it used to be. Used to, you'd write a planning grant, didn't matter what was in it, they would fund it. Now, does not seem to be the case.
So we're wasting our time of trying to get a grant for it.
I hate to say that, but it's getting that way. And they're a lot of work. So when we hadn't charged before, we have now implemented a fee to start. Not that you would pay the full fee if you wanted to go in once you get an income survey accomplished, but they're a ton of work. And to go through those motions and knowing what we know right now, it just seems like it might be in the best interest if you have another way of getting your comp plan completed. It might be the better way to go. That is not to say we are here to serve you. If you want us to attempt that income survey again, we will most certainly do that.
What's a comp plan costing right now?
Well, I wouldn't want to be held to this, and it kind of depends on what all you want in it. I would say 50 to 60 for a plan itself. If you're wanting planning and zoning to be a part of that and your ordinances to be updated, I would say upwards of maybe 75 to 90. I've seen some proposals recently, and that seems to be the numbers, and Marty might be able to.
I know Austin,
What's the 75 to 90? You said
Including the updating of your planning and zoning
Correct.
ordinances included.
all the maps,
So we're talking
everything.
$100,000,
Everything, yeah.
so.
Yeah, if you go that route, yeah.
I mean, If we're gonna do it, we need to update it. I mean, it's not been updated in 20 years probably.
Right,
Yeah, nice.
more than 20 years.
All right, 2004, so.
Yeah, and just to kind of remind you, you know, we have attempted these income surveys. This is not our first go-around in Scott County. We just do not have luck in getting response to them.
I get it.
It's not because we didn't try.
In the
Okay.
county
Yeah.
territory, it's not that we're that huge, but
Right.
it's hard to do the random.
It is,
And
yeah.
you're over here, and then 20 minutes later, you gotta be over here to
Mhm.
get it in date order. And then, I know if I had some man or somebody come to my door at 3 o'clock and I was by
Yeah.
myself in the afternoon and wanna ask me to open the door, I
Yeah.
wouldn't do it
Right,
anymore.
no, it's
So,
true, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, didn't you mention something about maybe colleges can help out, college credit, help with this type of?
Oh, we were talking the other day about the actual, because I know whenever we had our comprehensive plan done back 30 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I think Ball State, there were some
They did.
interns, and
Oh.
some students that.
Through their community
developed it.
development, yeah.
They, so sometimes there's colleges and people that will do, like interns or whatever, kind of do this work. I don't know what's available now, but that was so long ago, but I don't know what opportunities. So that was one thing that happened back then. So how to go about this is I just think it's just a really important thing because we're gonna grow. We just don't know, we don't have the plan, and then your zoning doesn't reflect what you were wanting to become. Does that make sense? And then you guys might have to entertain all kinds of zoning changes over and over again if you don't do a massive update.
Right.
They'll be coming to you every 5 minutes with a change this zoning please, as when the boom hits.
That's just about what happened last year. We had 14 variances. I think 12 of them got granted. And then we had 2 rezonings. So, you know, it just all depends on what comes. And like I'm preparing a rezoning for next month before the Plan Commission. It's, people are really looking at Scott County as the promised land, I think, because they, you know, when they come to me to get their permits, they're building a $55,000 house, and I charge them, you know, according to our fees, and they go, oh, well, that's not bad, you know, and so I know that our fees are lower than the other counties, so that's another thing that we need to look at.
Yeah, I agree. Keep up with the times.
So really, I'm just here, you know.
You're just giving us the bad news.
I'm just giving you, we're here for the income survey. If you want us to attempt that again, of course, we'd have another contract.
I don't think it's worth the effort, quite honestly. If it's not a variable in the grant writing process, then I don't know why we would do it. I mean, because that was the only reason we were doing it in the first place, was to qualify in a grant, or for a grant. And if we can't do that, then I think we're just spinning wheels. So, John, what's your thoughts?
I'm like you, I think we were gonna do it for last year and tried and couldn't get any results at all, so it's like, why keep doing something that's not working?
Brandon?
Yeah, still saying.
All right, well,
Pursue it.
we'll find another way.
And while we're here, guys, that's what,
And who does those type
Well,
of things? Is that, you want to put your other hat on and say it's me? Here, I got it.
okay. This is what I would tell you. I'm not supposed to suggest any consultants in the position.
But you
that I'm
know
in.
some.
Yes. I would highly recommend that you call Mayor Amick and see who he recently might have been talking to.
I have a copy of
and
that
see
agreement.
what his experience was. Since he's the most,
Had it done recently.
you know, he's closest adjacent to you, and I know they do good work.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
Is that it?
that's it.
Thank you.
Unless y'all have any questions. Thank you very much.
All
We
right,
appreciate
thank
it.
you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Get with me on that other thing. You do DocuSign or anything?
Do what? Do what?
You said you were gonna.
Oh, Tammy is going to receive that grant agreement for the Lair grant through DocuSign.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Good to see
They
you
got me
again.
down as executive director, so I want a raise.
I'm so proud of our employees. I'm your
I'll tell
representative.
them. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they'll jump right
And I
on.
am so proud of our employees and what they do for Scott County.
They always do well.
All right, thanks, guys.
They just can't people, they
Thank
just
you,
can't count incomes.
I know, thanks. Yeah. See ya.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hello, how you doing?
Good, how are you guys?
Great.
This will be the last time you see me for a while.
Yeah. Right.
No, really. Probably July.
Well, let's see, then hope everything goes well.
Thanks. So I just have a couple grant requests that I need to do before I do leave.
I thought we already did your
You did do my leave.
I thought so.
Yeah, you did. I just did it early just in case.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you're good. So first grant, is just a renewal of our immunization grant. I haven't got approval back yet from the state, but we've had this since before I was here, so I don't see.
Just flu
Hopefully not.
shots and,
Yeah, it pays, the big thing is it pays 50% of our public health nurse salary and benefits. So it's
100%.
50%, but the county picks up the other 50% of it. And then that total is $59,579. We also do like some advertising in there, and then like some general immunization, medical and office supplies out of there too.
Is this one we always do?
Yes. Yes. And it's reimbursable, and like I said, it'll start, Tammy will get the agreement when I'm gone, so I just wanted to be ahead and try to get it approved. Do you guys want to vote on them separately or all together?
No, I'd like to try to do them all,
Okay.
if we agree on
And
all of them.
what is this called again?
Immunization grant,
Immunization,
it's
that's right.
reimbursable.
Which means we pay it and they reimburse it.
Right.
Okay, and that was 59,579? Okay.
The next one also reimbursable, it's for $105,000, and it would be for the 2 HIV care coordinators or non-medical case managers up at the Austin office.
Is that the one we had before?
No, we have not ever lost that one. We've had that since 2017.
So is this a reimbursement you said?
Yeah, reimbursement, and it's just a renewal of that one as well.
Okay.
105,000, you got that, Tammy?
I got that.
And then this one is a new one, so basically the last couple of years, local health departments haven't been participating in the Indiana Department of Health annual survey. So if we complete our survey, which we do, they're gonna give us $1,000. So it'll come through as a grant agreement, but it'll be an advancement, and we can spend that $1,000 on whatever, so.
Flat 1,000.
So it's for a survey?
Yes, if we complete the survey, we get $1,000, so.
Okay.
Survey
Any
says.
questions, John?
Survey says.
Randy?
If we do the one, what's the HIV one?
It's for the
105.
105, and then it's for the 2 care coordinators, so they are the ones that help anyone who's already HIV positive get into services. I think the one that probably affects you guys the most and we're most familiar with is the ADAP insurance inside the jail. Without them, they do all the paperwork and all that good stuff to get that rolling, so.
So is that their only function?
Oh, I mean, they're 2 full-time positions, but yes, they only do supportive services for HIV positive clients. So that could be something as helping them get signed up on food stamps if that's something they want to do. They do a lot of their stuff is insurance stuff.
Testing, they do testing.
Well, no, because they're already positive. So the only people that are doing testing right now are our nurses, our 2 nurses. They're doing all of our STD and HIV testing and COVID testing.
Okay, so the health department does do that,
Mhm.
it's just not them.
Yeah,
Got it.
right, yes. So their focus is people who are already HIV positive.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's through like federal money that's funneled down through HRSA and Ryan White dollars.
I'll make a motion.
All right, Randy, you make some motion to accept all 3 grant requests.
I'll second that.
John seconds that, and I'll make that unanimous.
Have you sign those for me, please? I think that's it, and I'll email you guys all those usage and prices. Do you wanna go back as far as when I've been in that building, so 2017,
No,
18, would you like 19?
just go back a little bit.
Okay.
I don't think it's gonna be a big number anymore.
I know it was big enough for me to notice when the sheriff started using it, but I know it's increased a lot this year since we put our heat in, but.
I also know that I mean, being in there at all months of the year and,
Yeah.
and it's on, I walk in there and the heat's on.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's not like it's not been on before, so.
Right.
Okay. Anything else?
Not for me.
Will you
All
bring
right,
us to
well.
council on
Yes,
Tuesday?
I already emailed Teresa about being on council. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Again, congratulations.
Thanks.
Hope everything works out all right.
Thank you.
What do you got?
I just need you all to approve the polling locations for this year's election.
So you found out you have to,
Yes.
all right.
And I will be back in October to do this again, before
You know
every
what?
election.
You know what she's doing?
No, what do you do?
She's asking, we have to approve, I guess, the polling locations, for the election. So, they are the same except the one we changed
Yes.
at the Austin
Did
school.
you, so you guys have
Last
a
year.
paper?
Well, we changed it
Wait,
because
I
of
put
the
the one
construction
in
of the building, they moved it away from the construction side to the girls' gym
You
or
guys have
something.
that in your
Yeah,
packet.
so
It's
in
a
your
few
packets,
down.
it has a list of everything, and it has the updated for the Austin polling sites. So, it's just really simple, and I just need you guys to approve it.
Yep.
Got my approval.
All right, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Randy makes a motion to accept the 2022 precinct locations. John seconds that, and I'll make that unanimous, so all 3 of us have to sign this.
And we are doing all early voting at the library now, is that
Yes.
correct? Okay.
Do you
I've had
guys-
people ask me about it.
Do you mind to sign 2 of them, and that way we
Yeah.
got 2 originals, if you don't mind? Thank
Sign the
you.
back of that, John.
Sign them, pass them.
And then in October, I'll be back to do the general.
So you have to do it for each election? Wow, that's different.
Part of what we're doing,
All right, is that it?
That's it for me.
That was simple.
yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Will you give me a copy of that?
You can take one with
Oh,
you if you
okay,
want.
I'll just take one with me.
Take that one.
Thank you, my friends.
All right, Kevin, I think you're up. If you hadn't made Tammy mad, you'd been up there earlier.
No, it was something last week.
Put the long-winded people first.
Yeah. We'll just flow on out from there. I take it you must have got something out of the road school after you send an email that says, hey, here, I think we need to,
Yeah, we,
I'll get that to her.
kind of confirmed a few things up anyway.
We went 3 days there and never saw each other one time.
Go ahead, sorry, here, John. Thank you, sir.
So I'll start with that. That's a little bit of the building I kind of talked to y'all briefly about, I don't know, a month or 2 ago. That's what I'd like to see us do with our auction proceeds. I guess
Is this an existing building that we're doing something with?
That is a
Or this
new-
a
that is a
brand
new
new
building.
standalone building?
it's a standalone building.
Okay.
And if you flip to the next page, you're gonna get a better, like, that view right there would be, running north and south, and that would be the Main Street side, so all you would see was one garage door.
So you
Rather
can
than
see
Main
this.
Street, yeah, and it would block the whole back lot. And then that would be the front side, which would be the east side, and that, the opening right there would be the cinder and salt storage and such,
Here,
yeah. And if you flip to
how
the-
tall is this?
That'd be 14 foot. Yeah, 12. The other side would be heated, so it'll be a 50 by 60 heated, and that'd be where our steam genny, wash bay, and that kind of equipment, heated equipment would be. And then, of course, the other part's just wide open, non-insulated.
Where you want to set it?
you know where the truck barn is now, and it runs north and south. Basically leave a gap in between there big enough to, pull a truck in and run it north and south too. So it'll block the whole back lot from the road. You would just have a driving area, 50 feet, 60 feet, whatever we kind of determine on layout.
Could be on this side?
Yeah, it'd be on
between the
that
buildings?
side,
Over
towards the
there where you
armory.
tore the rock and gravel and all that?
Well,
Oh, towards the armory?
Towards the armory.
Okay.
Running north and south, just like the building is now.
Okay.
So it'd be where the
Center
center
pile
pile
is.
is?
We've been moving it for a long time.
But
somewhere in that
it's
area, yeah. Actually, where the footprint would be is already gone, but, but it'd be right there in that area.
So we're talking overall a
125 by
120.
50. And that's pretty much the same footprint as the building that's existing there now, where the trucks are parked in. And they got salt on the other side now, which we would do away with, just make that storage parking stuff again.
Yeah, those fees, I'm looking at those, just engineering fees?
So that's what I wanted to talk about, and I sent this to Zach, and I don't know if he probably had time to look at it yet, but. So those prints there are just what you and I would get as a residential print, and it has the standard engineering on it, and there it is. So that estimate is engineering that would get us a construction release from Homeland Security. So in other words, it's full-blown scale of engineering on that building. Now, do we fall under that parameter? I don't know. That would be a Zach question I'll have to get with. The other plans, $325, $340 is what you build every house in the county at. Those plans are full commercial and Homeland Security plans to be drawn up. So they'll work together. They'll send their draft to them, and then they'll put their stamp on it and add things that they think needs to be added and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
But, I just kind of got to get to the point whether y'all would agree to build the building out of the auction funds. And if so, then I would have to find out whether we need that commercial or that Homeland Security release for that building.
What are you asking for tonight?
More
Nothing,
just, hey, we can spend the money on that building.
So do we have that money in
We'll have roughly 150 as of right now.
But
the auction fund?
Mhm.
Wow.
But I'm not reading how much this building's gonna cost. Am I missing this here somewhere?
Well, that'd be my next step. So there's gonna be two different prices like everything else. If we fall under that parameter where we gotta get the Homeland Security release, I'm sure they'll add different strapping, different hurricane straps, different nails, different structural design, they'll add a lot of stuff. And they'll have to have a Homeland Security guy come in and inspect the building as it's being built. I've worked under those guys before. It's not bad, it's to a different set of standards than you and I would go to pole barn in the backyard.
Yeah, I've been dealing with them for the last couple of weeks.
So that's where I would have to find out, but I mean, basically, we could build the building either way, but if it falls under that, then that's the direction I'll have to go. So I can't really get any quotes until you say, yeah, you can build a building. If you do, then I'll find out if we fall under those parameters and have to use that. And that's gonna depend on how much somebody's gonna quote it for.
I'm going
Yeah.
to assume that there's going to be some type of, you're talking about holding salt.
Yes.
So, and we'll go a long way about this, just so everybody's on the same page. Salt in that much quantity makes a land pretty much barren where it will never, ever, ever grow anything. So, and we're looking at like a pole barn style building. To me, I would think we're going to have some type of concrete wall or something.
Yeah, so the plan was in the open bay part, at 60 by 50, that would be to the north. It's gonna have two LVLs running the top, so it'll be two 30-foot wide spans in between, and I have poles in the middle to hold that. So our plan was just to keep the cost down, is to use actual concrete blocks that you buy from IMI for around $45 a piece, and actually build our concrete structure in there to hold the
Like
salt
Scott's
cinders
Hardware
in,
has down
like
there.
they have in there.
Okay.
and that would hold it from pushing against the building, and so on and so forth. You know, it might be a design where if we need to go with the Homeland Security design, they may come up with a special clip that needs to be on the trusses because of that. It's not sure.
Right. Yeah, that's what I'm kind of wondering.
But, you know, the other part, that would just be that part, and I think that would be the only difference.
Well, I know down at the city where they store their salt, they just have like 2x6s or 2x8s or whatever on the wall, and they just butts up, it just slaps up against it, but.
And that would work, but I'll be
I
honest
think
with you,
blocks
with the price of tongue and groove 2x6s right now, I ain't so sure you couldn't put blocks
Yeah,
up.
I think the blocks are probably an ideal, it keeps people.
Well, if somebody
with
pushes on it with a loader,
Yeah.
they're not gonna push the blocks.
Yeah, you're gonna push out the building if you do that, so.
Yeah, we'll keep it back off the.
So what do you need from us, as John said, you just need us?
Really, but I'm just
okay,
looking to
just
say,
move forward?
you know, okay, we can build this, bring me back the estimate, and here's how I think it ought to be bid out. You know, I figure the highway department could be the general contractor on it. The part that needs to be bid out first would be the actual framing package and putting the metal on the shell. You know, that would be a contractor to do that. I think that we'll handle the concrete in-house because obviously 150,000, I gotta keep it drove down as tight as I can. We can save a lot doing that.
You've probably done that a few
We'll
times in
handle
your
that.
life.
Yeah, you can say that. And, and then the back part, we're gonna use, where the salt and the cinders, we're gonna use like a binder asphalt and just actually and it'll save us several $1,000s because you can't see it anyway, it's just gonna have material on it.
Okay.
Well,
Would,
I'm gonna,
I'm sorry, would this project exceed 150,000, you think?
No, I'll keep it down under 150,000. I'm hoping to come in around 110. We'll have to see, the shell estimate will tell us where we're at. We'll have to have 3 quotes on the shell.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the next thing will be insulation inside the heated part, which will be a fair amount of money, and the doors will be a big part of the money that we would bid out. Everything else would fall under a cheaper parameter.
So in terms of what you're saying is that you're wanting okay to proceed with this, and you have the money that you think is you're gonna be able to pay for it with.
Yeah.
And what you're asking for is, you're gonna bid out just the shell being built, and from that point, your people are going to build the rest of it out.
Yes, minus insulation and.
Yeah, and the
doors.
offices, yeah.
And so, yeah, I won't even have no offices, you'll just do
Oh, I
a
mean,
wash bay in there.
So we're just going to allow you to bid it,
Yeah.
and if we don't like it, we can always back out. I'm sitting
Well,
there like, this is a
so-
little new to me tonight.
So here's the I won't say problem, but here's the deal with the $11,550 for the engineering fee. I don't want to send it out to a contractor to bid this draft, and I need the Homeland Security release because it's a whole different building. It's going to be a whole different parameter, so I'll have to find out whether, and we can table. I mean, it's not that big a hurry. We can table it till I find that out. But
You guys' number, I got him.
Got it.
Got him on speed
Is he dial?
I got him on speed dial.
But like I said, I sent it to Zach. I was gonna have him look at it and just see if we do fall under that, because I'm not for sure, or if we're exempt. Probably not, if I was guessing.
Well, I'm gonna suggest
I
that we
believe that
give
to
you the
determine whether or not you're exempt, you have to actually file the paperwork with Homeland Security.
I can give you a guy's name that is our rep for this area.
Okay.
Rex Mays, I don't know if you know him or not, but I've been on the phone with him multiple times in the last couple of weeks, but.
The guy I used to deal with, I think he retired, but yeah, I can make
This guy's
that
in
call.
Franklin, and he gives you an answer that fast, so if you're asking, hey, we're gonna build this, and here's what we're gonna do, what do we need? He can tell you pretty quick, yay or nay, so.
Well, anyway, I brought it to you, showed you what we're gonna do. We can table that, let me figure out whether we need the Homeland Security release, and then I'll bring it back and we'll see where we're
I
at.
prefer that. It's kind of, maybe we've talked about this before, but it's kind of dropped on me anyway.
Yeah, we said we was gonna do a building, but like those prints there are relatively cheap. You're talking about a $300 set of prints compared to $12,000 set of prints when they're engineered and a design release, so.
I would be good with that, yeah.
One thing I just want to note, for those watching at home, that this building and the money for this building
his contact.
was made possible because, and Kevin picked this off, by using a different system of auctioning off things. We're probably making more money per unit sold than we've ever had in the history of Scott County.
Yeah.
And that's, I think that's a big deal.
Yeah,
It's made it possible for us to build a building that's not coming from, not having to go back to the taxpayers, to be.
And I think this building would benefit the department or really anybody in the county that necessarily wanted to use it, because we're gonna put our steam jetty in there, or get a new one, or put our steam jetty in there, and you can run especially when you start running brine, salt, and cinders, and our tracks, and get the equipment clean and work out.
Well, I saw a UTV not too long ago that transmission case got ate up by salt, so.
It'll do it.
What else you got?
Okay, next thing.
So we're gonna table this until our next meeting so that you can bring
That
some
we'll
more
know where we're at
information.
with
I'm gonna
it.
hold on to that.
And right back to the auction. I had a couple items I was gonna add to it. Picture worth 1,000 words. This is a Ford F-350 we have. It wasn't running when I started. We drug it out. I thought maybe it'd be worth making a spare truck. It's a 2000 model with 335,000 miles on it. We've already put more money than what we should have in it. And
It's not gonna make it.
It's not gonna make it. So it would probably be a good time to send it down the road.
All right.
So that's one, and
What
then
will you do with it? I mean,
we'll just put it on Gov Deals.
Okay, that's what,
Sell
yeah.
it. It's just done. I mean, for us, we're gonna have dumped so much money into it.
Somebody might use parts on it.
Oh no, somebody will pay a fortune for it.
I hope so.
It's not us.
It's not gonna be us. There you go.
Yeah. And then I just got a lot of miscellaneous stuff that doesn't run. And we'll just sell a lot, get rid of it. It's just stuff that's been stacked up, over the years.
Sounds good.
I briefly talked to you about this a while back, about some of the missing, you told me bring it to a meeting.
Yeah.
So you can see it. We're just working on inventory, trying to get a good list of everything that's at the highway department right now. We're still working on it. Those things are not there.
What he's showing here is that, I take it these are weed eaters.
Those are chainsaws. I think there's one weed eater in that.
Okay. When he came in, he did a inventory and of all the serial numbers off of invoices, I guess he had, so that he could tell what's what's there and what's not. There are some items missing. And this is a list of what's there and what's not. So.
None of that cemetery stuff.
No, those things are no longer at the Scott County Highway Department. I don't know where they're at, but they're not there.
Okay.
So we're starting anew.
I'm gonna get a good list and I'll bring it in for y'all, but I'm working through numbers.
And that's, I see on the right, is that the value or is that what they
Yeah.
paid for?
That's what
That's
we paid for.
what they paid. That list right there, Ace Hardware has it. They keep track of anything we buy out of their store. You can go up there and pull a card.
And the dates we bought them?
Mhm.
Okay. Thank you.
So what are we gonna do about these?
Well, that's my question. Do we just say they're gone? I mean, I'm gonna make a new inventory list. We just bring it to public meeting and say, hey, these items ain't here.
Well, I do know back,
How long they've been gone, we don't know.
I do know back before your days that, people would tell me that the mowing crew would go out, and I'm saying the summer mowing crew, the kids and stuff, and they'd come back and there'd be a weed eater gone off the truck, and they're like, where's the weed eater at? Well, I don't know, So they said, go backtrack and where the road you came and look for it. Well, of course, John Q. Public drives by and sees a weed eater in the road, hey, there's a weed eater. So, but anyway, like I said,
It's just something.
some of those are dated back
They are.
several years, and it's not something that just happened overnight.
No.
And I'll say this, I mean, don't know how many times the fire department goes someplace and sets us all down and forgets it, walks away and leaves it. And
We've done a
we
radio.
lost one to the Tony and Polly's fire, and, you know, and it just happens sometimes. I mean,
Right.
Go ahead.
Me personally, I'd like to see this investigated by the Indiana State Police. Because
Hold on.
I have it on good authority that a lot of that stuff was there.
The only suggestion I would say, if we wanna do that, I'd just say turn it over to the prosecutor and let him do whatever he wants with it. I mean, if he wants somebody investigated, he can pick out who does it. That'd be
Why
my
can't we?
opinion. Well, we can
I mean, it's our
ask.
tools, I mean, I don't understand why we have to.
Well,
do
that's
that.
because the prosecutor will be the one to prosecute it, and I just think he would be the one that'd say, okay, I'll call the Indiana State Police or whoever we might wanna do it. If we wanna do that.
And I just brought it to you guys to decide that. I can just to say it's not there.
Zach, what's your thought
It's
process?
3 chainsaws.
I know you can't tell us, you know,
It's-
your opinion, but what's some avenues we can do?
You just have missing equipment.
They're gone, it's not there anymore.
We're getting,
We don't know what happened to them.
we're working on a new inventory list of everything
You
that
can
was
make a
there.
report of lost equipment at any police agency that would have jurisdiction. I mean, that might include the Indiana State Police. I don't necessarily know that it would be in this case. I think it would probably be.
Well, it could be
Sure.
city
I
police.
mean, it
Could be city police, yeah.
I mean, there could be, I don't know that referral to, I think you could refer to whatever group you want to, legally. I don't know who they would choose as the investigative agency, and I don't know that we have control over who the investigative agency would be.
I think we shall send it upstairs to the prosecutor.
And then whenever you do this, then I have to notify State Board of Accounts, because if it's a loss over $500, it's in our internal control. They get notified.
$500.
If it's anything investigated or a loss over $500, I have to notify State Board of Accounts. That that's happened and that we've got something open.
I mean, we don't have any really evidence of anything. We just know it's missing, all we know.
Yeah, TJ's been working and just getting kind of like that whole lot right there that we're going to get rid of. That's not on record anywhere in that building. You know, that's a lot of money, but it's not on record.
But it's not.
All these tools are on record that they've been bought. They're just not there no more. So we're just trying to get a good inventory of what's actually there and what's not.
Yeah.
Starting,
That's a,
we've been working on it for a while, but
That's a good thing to have, because
Right.
you've got a lot of small pieces of equipment.
it adds up to a lot of
And it
money.
does add up.
So the estimated amount
That's
would be.
the
somewhere around
estimated
2,000
value of what's missing.
-ish.
I ain't losing no sleep over it, but if they're concerned about it, I'd just say send it to the prosecutor.
Well, I mean, I would say best practice would be to, if you note that you've lost equipment, would be to notate it in the report. I don't know that State Board of Accounts only gets involved if you make a report on it. That seems.
It's our local policy and internal controls, that if there's a loss incurred, and it's, you have to do a little due diligence to try to figure out what happened to it. And if you identified, again, these are under our fixed asset thresholds too. I mean, $15,000 is our fixed asset threshold, but our internal control policy says that if any department incurs a loss of, that could $500 or more, the State Board of Accounts, should be notified, and then you should try every way you can possible at that time to research. And then you chalk it up to however you feel like it played out. It was lost equipment, unknown or whatever. And then if you feel like there's something amiss, then you would want to continue with the process, with the, having it pursued criminally.
I'm just gonna say for the record that 4 of these items were purchased in 2017 and 2 of the items were purchased in 2019, so some of these have been purchased a long time ago, and God only knows, maybe somebody knows something more, but I mean, they could be gone for a long time.
There's a
so.
pretty decent chance
So
somebody
anyway.
just got.
Yeah, we're just
So what's your?
we're just adding it up that it ain't there.
Yeah, and I get that, and I
Yeah.
appreciate you, making that acknowledging that, hey, I'm doing an inventory here and I can't find these things, and you know, we're gonna start anew,
Well,
but, so I guess
let's
I'm
back
asking.
up here for just a second before we, in the record there, when the last inventory was done,
Not that I'm aware of.
you might want to.
I can dig and see if there is. I don't, there's very vague books, you know, that have different numbers and such in it, but I mean, there's been a lot of people in and out of there. My goal is to get an actual new list and put to you guys and say, hey, here's what we got. This is truly what's on these grounds right now, and
Yeah.
start fresh, and I really feel like
Actually,
that's all we can
I'm
do.
not too sure by law, we don't have to do that every year.
I think so.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying there isn't one. I just telling you that I haven't seen it.
Right, right.
You know, it isn't a mile. Let's put it that way.
But
What's,
to be certain, there's no evidence anything's been done wrong here.
No,
It could've
I'm
been
not
junk.
saying that it could. I have no
It
idea.
could've
I'm just
been
saying it's
junk and
gone.
just didn't change the latest.
And I'm saying, you know, I think there's paperwork that is showing that it was there. So this doesn't go too far back. And I have reason to believe that it was taken. So, and that's all I'm gonna say right now.
Okay. Well, you guys just let me know whatever you want me to do with it. I'll do with it. But that's what we'll leave it for now. I'll move on to parking lot.
Good idea.
Yeah. Okay. Parking lot is. John talked to Terry, I think today.
I talked to him Monday.
Yeah, okay. Anyway, here would be my only thing on it. I guess they're planning on having their part done in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
And I knew we presented the cheapest bid there a few weeks ago when we tabled it. Here would be my only, and this is just my conversation with the mayor. I kind of highlighted what he was expecting, and you can see it doesn't necessarily match that estimate. That'll just be your all's decision on what direction you want to go. And
So if they get their part done next couple of weeks, then we can start moving on it.
yeah, I mean, if you decide to go with these contractors, I'll schedule it, see what they're.
You said we'd maybe like $2,000 or $3,000 difference on their own.
I believe there was, about $3,000 or $4,000 somewhere in there.
And that could allow you guys to get out and do some work and get some other things done, because this will be an extra. Yeah.
All right, so I guess this was the lowest bid, so I can speak of it, can I?
We read all
We
the
already
bids.
tabled.
Yeah, we read it.
Yeah, yes, you can,
You
table, if you, as long as you've read them at the prior meeting.
Yeah, we did. This estimate is this was the lowest bid. It was Strigler Paving Company out of Floyd Knobs for $19,740. And if they have to add stone, it's a $12 per ton addition to that $19,750. So, I really don't get what that's about.
Well, if you look on there, they priced, it's basically a 2-inch intermediate mix. And, here, I think he was requesting 2 different layers on it, but, you know.
He's not paying for it though.
Well, that's up to you guys. I'm just saying. There it is.
The amendment, or the agreement.
I believe that there will be fine. for what
The
we're doing.
agreement that was that we were paying to have it paid, and he was gonna accept it afterwards.
Okay.
I did talk to the mayor last week actually as well, I had a meeting with him. And we talked about the MOU, saying that it was a 10-year MOU, we're 2 years into it. And plus it was gonna cost us some more money, and I suggested at that time that could we extend the years, and he said he'd be open to that, so he didn't say what, I mean, but he said he would be open to extend it, so. Where were we talking about taking this money from?
It was the ARPA funds.
Okay, that's exactly what I thought, so.
Yeah. that's-
I'll entertain a motion to accept this bid to pave the the parking lot for county use. And it is city property, but we have an MOU that we signed 2 years ago with the city for us to pave the lot. They bought the lot, we're gonna pave the lot, they're gonna give us, we had an MOU for 10 years, there's already 2 years of that expired, so I will be going back to the mayor and trying to extend that, out some. So anyway.
To be clear, I think we're supposed to stripe it too, aren't we?
And that's
This
strike
is
price.
So this is to dig out the footer, apply a stone, final grade, pave and stripe, so I'll entertain a motion.
And that is the lowest bid.
That is the lowest bid.
And we read, I'm just gonna be clear, we read all of the bids at the prior meeting.
We did.
Yes, we did.
We read each of the bidders.
Yes, we did,
the
because one
amounts.
of them was almost $100,000.
75,000, I believe, yeah.
It's actually in your set of minutes to be approved tonight.
So I'll entertain a motion, and this money will be taken out of the ARP money.
Now, to be sure, we gotta go to the council with that too, right?
All
Yeah.
money has to be
Yeah.
appropriated from the
Yeah.
council.
I just didn't want the impression that
Yeah.
it's done.
Okay.
No, and they meet on Tuesday.
I'll make the motion to, pass that amount to be taken out of ARPA to help with the city parking lot. I'm not sure what the amount is again.
$19,750.
My motion will take that 19.7, whatever it is, and approve it, to send it to the council.
I'll second that motion.
John made a motion to accept Strigler Paving Company's bid of $19,750, and if they need to buy an additional stone, it's at $12 per ton. Randy seconds that, and I'll make that unanimous. So do I need to sign this?
No. Yeah.
Here you go.
All right, real quick, the next thing, parking lots for the fire department. No, John brought that up. I kind of forgot about it, honestly. So we're gonna get that back on the line and get that ready.
All right.
And Bo Rogers Road, I know we got a lot of money invested in that. I talked to Tammy, we sent Zach some stuff about, the permits acknowledged now. Hopefully in the next 25, 30 days, it'll be through. There's some public announcements we gotta make and stuff to do that work.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Kevin.
I know you're ahead of the game this year compared to last.
Yeah, a little bit.
All right.
Good job, brother.
Who else has got anything? Oh, EMS.
Does that mean we'll give you nothing, or what?
What are we asking?
Just smile.
Yeah.
All right.
Smile and mean it though.
Gold one is yours. Yours. Sorry. Yours. Yours.
Yeah, I did, and I didn't get a chance to send you, email. I got some questions about some of it.
I've got it on here so we can. First thing, in the packets, financials, and then a breakdown from where we were for the last 2 years. This sheet here is the comparison of 2020, 21, and current year. Breaks it down by month, type of deposit, and at the bottom you'll see the difference in the green of where we were versus 2020. It's the third page, the fourth page maybe. So, if there's any questions on that, let me know. The stuff at the top, the WPS, DXC, ACH, and all that are just different forms of deposits. Some of them are electronic payments, some of them are checks, some of them are Medicare, Medicaid, so that's what those meanings are up top. So, it is a breakdown as far, like I said, it's this one here, Tammy, of the, right there, yep. Just where we were in comparison to 21 and 22 and 20, so just wanted to give you that for reference. Obviously, you've got your run breakdown sheet that I give you every time. We did 408 runs last year, finished the month with just shy of 167,000 in income. And there's no extra kickers on that, like the Medicare stuff, so that is just full revenue that we've received for the month. Training department's at $17,840. EMR class is finished. The EMT and the advanced EMT are concurrently running right now, and the paramedic program is being strategized. So, and I've got something else in the program on that. Trucks. A school truck was involved in an incident Sunday morning, which I called Mike about.
I wondered about that.
Actually, I failed to text you other two guys.
Well, I saw a
Should have done that.
testing.
Yes, they were sent for drug test, and we filed the police report. We still don't have the police report because they said it would be Friday at the earliest.
Friday at the earliest.
Who'd you follow with?
Louisville Metro.
Oh, okay, I thought you meant local, okay.
So,
Yeah.
So we're talking cosmetic damage.
it drove back. It's still in alignment. It's all cosmetic. I had to use some.
We're talking a bumper probably.
Yeah, for the most part. The part that I just
That
replaced.
sounds
the
like
most part.
That sounds like a wife coming home, hey, I wrecked a car, it's all right.
For the most part.
What I talked to you about, I just replaced part of the bumper guard when the truck went to up north to get all the lights and electrical issues fixed. Replaced a bumper guard right over there. That is once again ruined. So
That was a non-injury accident.
non-injury.
Okay.
So the one we just fixed.
It's 48 hours old.
Just got damaged again.
Yes.
Hey, that's a business.
It is.
So it did its job though, because I'd rather spend $1,000 on a brush guard than $10,000 on paint, grill, lights, and all of that. So
Yeah. Well, hopefully the other insurance pays for it.
they didn't have insurance.
Of course. Of course.
At least that's what was reported while on scene. So.
They didn't run, did they?
No, but once I get the police report, I'll send it to you guys, just so we're all on the same page, and then strategize what we want to do from there. Pat's officially gone. Devon and I have officially divvied up the workload. I did payroll this week. I don't think anything was wrong with it,
I haven't heard any complaints out
so
of
that's good. They'll be happy they're getting paid. Devon has been taking care of the claims and the income and the ABS stuff, so it's taking a little longer work days just because we're still adjusting, but as far as the workload, I mean, I'm fine. So, just.
Are you looking for approval or something?
No, her work, I don't know if she's fine with her workload, but I guess she's gonna be. But just letting you know, it's as smooth as it can be. We've made a couple phone calls to Pat about some stuff that we didn't cover that just came up, and she's been really good about answering the phone and stuff,
Did
so.
she get her painting?
She did get her painting, so,
Yeah.
everything is good there. Where are we at?
Safe phone. Safe.
And then we're still waiting on the council on the 12th to vote as far as if we're gonna do a salary ordinance for the position or if I'm gonna advertise or all of that, so I'll keep you updated on that. I would, if any of you are available that day, I'd
We're gonna
appreciate.
get that meeting anyway.
Okay, then I'll skip that part. Safe haven box, we're still waiting on the contractor work. It's the rain and they have to cut a hole in our building, so it's gonna have to be one of those things that we've got a for sure clear week to do this, so nothing, it's there, we've talked, we're just kinda waiting on the time to do it, so. The other thing, two other things. The first two, you all have in your packet are bids that we received on the ambulance.
This is
The
the
big,
big creature.
Probably didn't. You emailed them, didn't you? So I didn't make a copy of that email, so I'm sorry.
one of them came in today.
Oh, you got another one, okay.
Yeah, it was the one that was on Gov Deals, and then had to take it off for a minute because we had to put that truck back in service because we wrecked one and it's been an ordeal. But those are the two that we have received from the bidders on that. Or from
So it
the,
went up,
yeah,
cause the other one knew that somebody was bidding.
I guess.
So we taking, and I haven't read this, so are we taking any striping off?
We're not doing nothing.
So it's going
As is, where is.
What does this mean when it says, you'd like to read that bid with court approval?
So, they have, I believe that one, is that from Woods?
Actually in Kentucky.
Yes, they have a
judges.
court and judges and
They have a judge executive.
instead of
Committee,
this,
the committee.
yes.
Yeah.
So that's like your board.
Okay.
He's talked to their tax yes, tax person, they've given him the approval, but since it's kind of a bid process, they can't get us the check until you guys say, yes, we will accept this, or no, we will not.
What was the original they was, the first company you talked to, you thought it was going, he sold for, about,
170 to 180.
was it?
And then there was the 15%, 12% seller's fee plus the removing the stripes, which would bring us down to a net of 150 to 160, depending on what it's sold
And I
for.
don't think our original purchase price was,
I was thinking-
Yes, our original purchase price was
and
$223,500.
we've used it for
Couple of years.
couple
A
of
year.
years. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's reasonable.
That is selling it with,
Did you see that?
Equipment.
I saw both of them, yeah.
that is selling it with the Power Pro, or the Power Load system inside of it. So
But
that
not
is
the stretcher.
not the stretcher. However, that, I gave mine to Zach, I apologize. This company here, which is the higher of the two, is also interested in purchasing a stretcher if we would sell it for $14,000.
Do we have an extra one?
The one that came out of that truck.
Do we have one in the old truck? But I guess if we were using the old truck.
It won't need a Power Pro stretch, a Power Load stretcher, because there's no Power Load.
So we
in
have
it.
a stretcher for
So
it.
we could increase this by 14,000.
It would be, yes and no. The total would be 14 more, but it would be a separate, yes.
Hey,
It'd
well,
be,
it's a
it'd be two
separate
separate purchases.
Yeah, yeah,
One for
yeah,
14
yeah.
for the stretcher, and then one for the, if you guys accept that.
Sounds
I don't want to mess
reasonable
up
to
and say
me.
anything I'm not supposed to
I'd
again.
say.
But
I'd
if you're
say
willing,
That's better than I originally thought.
so I've talked to Tammy about that. It will go back to TIF.
Yeah.
And my goal is to go back to TIF and ask for it to help budget through some of,
Is it okay to give the amount of money? I think somebody's wanting to know.
I think we can, yeah,
195,000.
yeah.
so, if we accept the 195, I would like to go back to TIF and ask for the 195 to help take care of some of our issues.
Butter him up.
Hi, of just the medical supplies and fuel and stuff.
That's a question, and I'm sorry, the other day when we were talking, sometimes my brain is, I have to be on an 8-track tape mode, everybody remembers 8-track tapes? Yes, so, and,
No,
what is it?
yeah,
I'm sorry, no, I
that's
don't
before
remember
your
those.
time, I think, Mike.
I remember quite well.
Not me.
Yes, so I
remember
thought
playing
about the
radio.
TIF thing after you
lying.
left, after we talked. TIF monies, and we'd have to adhere to the plan that's there now that was opened up for support of emergency services through, you know, as the county-wide support. If there's a capital outlay that you need for your department, because this was a capital outlay, it would need to be, if they move to reappropriate money to the EMS service for monies that were returned to them, then it would need to mirror the capital outlay model. So
Could I ask for a different approval?
the plan doesn't cover budget shortfalls or consumables.
But
But I can go back for medical supplies and truck supplies and
That's
stuff. no?
consumables.
So he can go back for equipment.
But he could go back for, like, if
can go back
your
for-
Durango, the extra Durango.
So I can
you
buy
want.
like 12 of those now. Cool.
You
No.
can, but you could ask for things like that, equipment, stuff that's
Okay.
gonna be.
Take your money out of your
Yeah.
equipment fund, move it over
Yeah, if
for
there's-
your supplies,
That's a good point.
and then take the
There
other.
is a way to do it, you just can't do it direct.
I don't think we can just up and say, here's 195,000.
Right.
And buy all the medical supplies you need.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
cause it's a consumable.
Take
It
it.
has to be a capital outlay to support, almost like thinking about the ARP funds, one-time
Okay.
purchases.
Okay, let me
Yes.
throw something in
We will try to
there.
help.
If we still have a bill
Stryker.
from Stryker for
That is a capital outlay.
Yes,
three different payments, he can,
That's correct.
he can help,
we can reappropriate for the striker.
Yeah.
And
cause that's coming out of a budget someplace.
then you can
as well.
transfer money that was budgeted originally for striker into other lines to cover things.
That's good, but it also slightly rains on my parade, but it's fine.
It's
with medical supplies the way they are, I know I'm gonna need
It
more,
just-
and the way fuel is, I know I'm gonna
But
need
if you
more.
alleviate your
It's
striker
moving-
line for
moving
your lease
money,
payment,
Going to the council and
Okay.
asking council to move money off of this line to this line.
yeah.
Okay.
So,
Cause you're
Either
gonna,
way,
you're gonna replenish that money if they give it back to you for equipment.
because if you, just say you have $100,000 in your
Somehow
striker
we're in a
contract line.
surplus right now, or striker.
Yeah, and I think we might, I think we might be to the
Yeah,
good.
that's what I turned in last meeting.
I know
We
that,
had
I saw that, but.
I don't know if
but that
it's
doesn't
separate.
include those three
It does not,
payments.
it doesn't include the payment.
But if we can throw that surplus plus this at it, then we've made a huge.
So,
Yeah, I'm not
yeah,
sure how.
Either way,
get with
I don't
me
know.
There's a
and
process.
we'll look at that,
Right.
because you're.
I'm gonna entertain a motion to accept $195,000, and I don't even know who this is from, I guess I'm gonna say Woodford County, Kentucky government.
correct.
I'll entertain a motion to accept $195,000 for the 2019 Chevy
4,500.
4500 ambulance,
I'll make the motion.
to sell it.
I'll make the motion.
John makes a motion,
I second that.
Randy seconds that, and I'll make that unanimous, and I appreciate your due diligence.
I do.
And I
more question.
apologize for not having my TIF brain on when you asked me that the other day.
And I'm sure council is happy that we just, cut the budget a little bit, or cut your money, cut.
We're ecstatic.
You're welcome. What about the
Everybody jump
stretcher?
with joy here.
I'll ask for another motion to sell the stretcher for $14,000.
And I'll make that motion.
John makes a motion.
Can we do that without something actually given to us to say where they're wanting to buy it? I mean, all we got right now is just a verbal.
If he secures the offer.
Make an offer, yeah, you can
If
make an
they-
offer at 14,000, if they accept it, you're.
That-
Okay to sell it.
Yeah, the offer and acceptance.
That would be my motion.
I'm assuming that's your advice to sell it. I second that motion.
John made a motion to sell a stretcher with the ambulance for $14,000. And Randy seconds that, Randy seconds that, and I'll make that unanimous, so I guess, make sure there's something in writing, like a purchase order or something, and for both items, and get the signatures on that,
So they're gonna, what the plan for them is once you accept it, they're going to come up here. They've already came up, they drove it, they've looked at it. They're gonna come up here, confirm that it's not in any other condition than when they initially looked at it.
Yeah.
I told them we were removing the radios, the monitor mount, and the narcotic box, which have since been removed. So they're gonna verify that we didn't remove anything else, and then they're going to come with a check, just as long as everything checks out, that everything's okay.
sounds good.
And then the last thing on the agenda that I've got is our paramedic program director contract, which you guys should have in your packet, and I've sent to Zach, and he has questions.
So, what's the time frame for the start for the paramedic?
July 12th.
Okay, so we have 3 more meetings between now and then, is that right?
No,
5. I'm
yeah,
counting
I
on
was
us.
gonna say what month you in.
So, my question is, you don't need action on this right now?
I need it soon because we have to have pretty much yes, because we have to have a program director to get the stuff started with coamps and all of that. It's not that we need one it's not just the class, it's having the stuff in ready to allow them for us to proceed with starting the class. And they need months of.
You still getting fillers
the,
out there, people that are interested in the class?
We have 8 or 9 applications now.
Hey Nick,
And that's without advertising really.
is this the program that if we don't do it, then you lose everything that you've done and you have to?
Yes.
That would be the one.
Okay.
That's why last year in November,
Scrounging.
I was scrounging with the people to say, what do we need to make sure it's still rolled over? Because I didn't want to lose and start all over.
And for what it's worth, Zach, this is the same contract that has been used by Jacob.
okay. I mean, there's some strange terms in here like ADR, dispute resolution, and there's, I mean, just so you understand the terms, there's like attorney's fees provisions for prevailing party, which is weird for if you first have to go to ADR, then, I mean, there's basically an agreement in here that no suit can come because of a breach or default in this agreement until you submit to a voluntary mediation by a third party. Like, I find that strange. Also, there's a notice requirement as to defaults and things like that, but there's no, like principal place of business for ETAE LLC in the agreement. It indicates that there will be a placement for that somewhere down under the like signature lines, but there's no specific like address included.
Yeah, we brought the information,
Okay,
but.
yeah. So, I mean, I don't necessarily have a problem with the term specifically, I just think there's some,
We have, let me, if you want time to do something with this, we have a meeting on Tuesday after the other meeting.
Or ARPA.
Yeah, for our
is it
thing.
special though?
So,
Mm-hmm.
You wanna take action on things that the special meeting is noticed for?
okay.
I didn't post an agenda yet.
Question,
Notice though.
If that's the case, then
can we resolve your underlying issues here with the contract as long as he agrees to it? Like, do you get what I'm, like,
You want me to, you wanna verbally amend the contract when we sit here and have everybody?
and then rewrite it and sign it later.
I mean,
I mean, again, I don't think that's a good idea.
If we can't do it on the 12th, then
The 20th.
the 20th is the next meeting.
and we have to
Well, that-
have paperwork submitted by this Friday.
Here's what I'll say, the substantive terms of the agreement, like the actual, like, real, like, meat of the agreement,
Mhm.
I don't necessarily see any problem with. I would just change, like, a couple things relative to, like, the, I don't know, maybe I'm being picky, but.
And I think the
Are you,
arrangement.
do you
unless I'm
understand what he's
thinking about
wanting
that,
to
he was
change,
an
and are you
agent.
good with that, or?
Yeah, I do. I've got all
Wasn't he?
the.
I
Not
understand
not
that you would
originally.
have, like,
I didn't
the,
have the LLC formed when the
When-
contract
yeah.
was drafted, and I do have it now.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that. I'm on shift the 20th. I live 45 minutes away, so I don't have a problem
okay.
on that day.
I mean, you can also, you have this special meeting scheduled for what day?
Tuesday,
Tuesday.
12th.
Tuesday, today is
Wednesday.
Thursday?
Wednesday.
Close.
Wednesday?
It'll be
Monday.
Thursday.
Look, I just got back from Phoenix, okay?
Yeah, you're a time.
School today.
Can we, I mean, you can notice a second special meeting
Not good.
for the same day or just renotice.
Yeah, we could just have
Include
two
this.
back to
Is
back.
it something you can change that you're
Have a meeting,
comfortable with and send to me?
have
and
another
see-
meeting.
Yes,
meeting.
can you just send me a Word copy of this, so I don't have to do a PDF,
Yes,
Adobe, and then turn it to a Word copy and then.
I love government.
yeah, I'll send it to
But
you.
you're all right with what he's talking about?
I will not be changing this, I won't be changing the amounts or
I don't know what
anything
he's
like
talking about,
that.
so.
It'll just be some of the,
Like, yeah.
Verbiage.
verbiage of it. Okay.
Okay, well, let's table
You-
that until Tuesday.
Do you want to verify the LLC while we're here, just so you know that it's,
Yeah, can you just send me
Yeah,
email copies
time.
of the
I know what's after the meeting, but we
This
oughta-
is the
We'll
operating
talk
agreement.
about that in a minute.
I was gonna say, we honestly,
Filing, so the
I put these in there or something, and then you can write,
Alright,
we've got
I'm fine
that
with the
notice in
state.
here,
I
or
got
down on the
everything.
agenda, so we'll
I
add
got
that.
it.
Okay.
No, I meant,
Copies in there.
we don't know what time our meeting's going to be open.
Would email be better for you? Or do you like-
Email,
Guess-
I like.
guessing.
Yeah.
I
I do like to have a hard copy, but I also like to have an email. So-
Well, I like an hour. I would-
So,
Anything
yeah,
else?
I guess
Hope they can
11.
show
Fully
up,
staffed?
and yeah, we might be late, but,
Everybody happy?
yeah.
they're still showing up?
So Tammy, if we could just re-notice,
Like,
I
I'll
have-
add two
I have-
special meetings
and
on
just-
that
yeah,
day.
exactly,
Yeah.
yeah. I know
Well,
that's
I'm not
weird, but, yeah.
I'll do it.
We still have the UTV that we haven't done anything with, correct?
No, I mean, it's fix it or it's dead. I mean,
What year is that anyway?
19,
What was the quote?
4,000. I could use that out of capital, couldn't I, to fix it, or out of this TIF?
What's it,
It has to do with equipment.
It was a,
Do we need it?
it was a transmission case.
Yes and no. We can utilize the UTV, especially in the winter. It's not a bad
I need to
idea.
bring-
I think another question to ask, if we keep this from happening again to it.
Yes, we can.
Because somebody's going to clean it, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, it has to do with upkeep at that point.
Okay,
I mean, If we put the money into it, can we use it? Absolutely. I mean, we can use it definitely for the fair and stuff like
And how
that, but
much
we can
you
use
say,
it.
4 grand?
It's between 4 and 5,
And we spent like, what we bought?
20 something on it,
That's what I was
23.
thinking, yeah.
It's not, Kubotas aren't cheap.
So if that's something I can, again, use out of that equipment thing, then,
I'd say we could, couldn't we?
Um,
Well, we just have to look at it.
but
we
that's something we can
check
address
this.
later, but
Yeah.
I don't want to take money out of my budget for it.
No,
Sure.
I wouldn't either.
So,
All right,
that's all,
anything
thanks.
else?
Nope,
Appreciate your work.
thanks.
Thank you, Nick.
Appreciate that,
So-
selling that ambulance, that was a good.
Question,
that was a
are you
good
on shift
swing.
the 12th? Nope. Are you coming off shift the 12th? Zach, with him, would he have to be here to sign that contract in front of you guys?
No.
So they can all sign it, he can sign it a different day?
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah,
I just didn't want him to make an unneeded trip if he didn't have to.
And then as long as you get me, make him a copy and get me the original contract back for their fund.
Yeah, we
We're
just have
good.
to, you need to sign it, I would sign it here so that we can, or get a copy back.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do need a finalized version with everybody's signatures
Okay.
back.
He
So I can sign
could
it
just
to you
come in
Monday.
and,
Yeah, any day.
So if you get it to me before the meeting, I can have him sign it saying he's good with it, and bring it to you with him signed, and you guys can all sign it and keep it.
Technically,
he
yeah.
could just
Okay.
pop in and sign the original with me after
so
the
you're on
meeting.
shift on the
That's not a
11th,
problem.
so he can sign it on Monday and we're gonna approve it on Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Okay,
So-
yeah, that's fine.
Okay,
All right, thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
And you said Zach, you said he needed some copies or something, he was gonna.
He's gonna email it to me.
Oh, okay.
I put the email on there. with-
All right, weed board member appointments.
That I ran out.
And as Tom Springsteen came in not too long ago and asked us to rejuvenate the Scott County Weed Board, I know Tom's been involved with getting members to sign up for this. I know John, I talked about this, and John Harden actually reached out to me about, some questions he had about the weed board, but I think from what my understanding of the weed board itself is that when Tom came in and talked to us, he's talking about ditches and not middle of fields and other things, so.
Yeah, we're not gonna go up to somebody and say, clean your property up with this or else.
No.
Yeah,
So-
it's ditches along the road. What
So
I'm doing.
anyway, I have a record, so the record here is the complete board, for the new Scott County Weed Board members are Township Trustee Robbie Combs, SWCA or CD Supervisor John Harden, Ag Community Representative Bill Comer, our Highway Department Kevin Hall, and Tom Springston, the Extension Service Educator, so
This
just,
has nothing to do with CBD oil.
Well.
no. So anyway,
You need a
that's
motion.
just, I guess, do we just need a consensus or to accept the
you need
board?
to appoint, yes, make a motion to appoint the board as recommended,
Okay, I'll accept.
retro
it.
to January 1.
Yeah, I'll accept a motion to accept the board as I've read and retro to January 1 of 2022.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
John makes that motion, Randy seconds that, and I'll make that unanimous, so we now have a new established weed board. Property adjacent to the transfer station, have no idea what that is.
Okay, so the gentleman that lives, and I cannot remember his name.
Probably got mowed for us.
Huh?
Was it Murphy?
Thank you.
Murphy?
Did you want something?
No, Chance.
You just
Chance.
visiting?
Chance.
I have
Yeah,
a map.
Somebody was trying to come to them. I had to go to Deanna's first meeting of her senior year.
Uh-oh, that's
This
sad.
is the depiction.
All right, thank you.
This is the new flyover, and there's been a lot, that's why you can't see that on that GIS map, so there's not as much there as, looks like there was.
Oh, okay.
Does that make sense to you
Yeah.
now that you see that, Randy?
So, Mr. Murphy, so here's your transfer station. And he owns this property right in through here, and he's wanting to clean up his property, which borders our transfer station.
Yeah.
So he's asking for permission to clean up his property, and they might get a wheel or something off on our property, so on and so forth. I think there might be some fencing that might be growing up in the trees, I'm not sure, but he just wanting permission.
I'd say if he cleans it up, that's good. Benefit to everybody.
He's wanting to clean his own property, I'm confused on that.
Well, but there's a fence that borders that, and
That we put up? I'm just.
We probably put it, the
Yeah.
county probably put the fence up.
well, I'll be honest with you, I don't know.
But we have a fence around
I
that
will,
entire property.
I will say that I've had, on that same thing, I've had several comments that maybe we ought to tear that fence down and ditch it out better.
No, he's talking about in the back of the property, not up by the gate.
This is
Oh,
out there by the, this is the road.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Um,
well, if that's how you go in.
But he's talking about this property. This guy owns this property, and
Yeah.
he's got a fence around it.
Okay,
So I think what you're saying is that if he has to disturb that fence, he doesn't want us to be upset or whatever by him trying to clean up his property. So
okay.
Well, I guess I was just gonna make them up, see if we could make the motion to let, court oversee the project and let him act
And
in our best
communicate with this
interest.
guy.
So we think this is our fence. I don't know either.
I don't
mean,
have-
that's
If it's on the
kinda-
line, it's.
Yeah.
I'd venture
both
to say
parties'
all of our
fence around it.
property is fenced in, because at one time,
Probably.
it's all landfill, so I mean, it was all fenced in.
Well, I will say whatever he needs to do, I'm willing to
Yeah.
cooperate, obviously. I just was trying to sort out what was what. But I do think it might not be a bad idea to tear that fence row down through there and have the highway trench that out. Because what the goal is to keep people from coming in and dumping.
Yeah.
And if we make it deep, and it's hard to mow,
Yeah.
just turned into a big mess. Anyway, we can look at that.
All right.
I'm with
So-
it, whatever you need. That's consensus again?
Yeah, I'd say let's just do it on consensus that we all agree that if he wants to clean his property and if it impedes on us a little bit, then I'm fine with that.
Okay,
So,
second that motion.
Yeah,
all right,
yeah.
okay. Courtyard improvements, beautification committee, what we got?
So, I wanna see if we can start a, courtyard beautification committee. That will help take care of the courtyard and just make it more like a park-like setting. Of course, I think the committee would need to come to us, before implementing anything, but it would be in their wheelhouse to, put it in place and come up with, funding, for it. But I sent out a filler on, Facebook, and there was a lot of feedback, that a lot of people really liked the idea. But it's just about cleaning up and making the courthouse look really nice, the yard. I mean, how many members we want to put on or whatever can be discussed, if nothing.
I think anytime you can get other people involved in projects and stuff, I think that it's a win for organizations, but sometimes those people are enthusiastic at the beginning, then they kind of, you know, fall off after a while, or somebody, you know, moves away, or situations change, and I'm all for trying to have people do something. I mean, I think Kelly years ago got the southeast corner back here in pretty good shape, and I think you know, the rest of it needs to come along just like that did back there, and that's gonna, you know, I hate to say it, and but that's gonna entitle some dirt rot in, some leveling of some stuff, and
Well, and, we was talking about, I think that might be on here too, but we was talking about the sidewalk.
yeah.
So we'll generate our own dirt. We'll have plenty of dirt by the time the sidewalk goes in.
No, I'm for getting prices and seeing where we're at with it, and as far as the committee, I mean, I think that's, I don't have a issue with that whatsoever, so.
I think it'd have to be kind of an informal committee.
Yeah.
we could appoint it,
Well,
but I mean, they
Scottsburg-
wouldn't have executive action.
No, no, no.
Yeah,
no,
that's
no.
what I mean, I would
No,
like
they
us to discuss,
We,
appointing.
and if you want to do this, I'm okay with it too, except for I think we need to make sure somebody from Austin's involved, somebody from Scottsburg involved.
Yeah, it's
Especially
county.
when it's in Scottsburg. I mean, I think we gotta represent Scott County.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
And
think,
how many people do we want on it?
Well,
well,
I
That's
mean,
it,
we can open this thing up.
I mean, most committees want to have 7. And I mean, you can have as many volunteers
Yeah.
to help as you want.
Yeah.
The committee would be the ones who would come up with the ideas and come to us and
And,
present
we-
the ideas before implementing.
And
Marty, how many, is on the Scottsburg or in Austin's beautification committee?
Oh, 2 or 3 of us.
well, I mean, we've
I'm
already
not
got.
talking active,
On the
I'm talking,
Scottsburg beautification, I'm really not sure any longer. I know that, when we go to do something with our small area over there by Ross
Go
Theater,
do it, what you're saying.
sometimes we ask for money, sometimes we just go ahead and do it.
Yeah, oh.
Yeah.
But
I'm
you're
sorry, I
saying-
just said that too.
but how do you,
Generally, we just go ahead and do it.
so, but I mean, on the part of how many people to have on a committee, and not, you can always have too many. But, are you
We've had
thinking?
Kevin, he's got a bunch of dirt.
Well, we have right, the reason I'm saying we already have, we don't want to, go over topic, we have some people right now who already take care of the corners with
If they're still
flowers.
doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
if
I
they're
think they
still
are.
doing
I
it.
mean, although a car just destroyed this one over here the other day.
Yeah, I know.
Crashed into it, but I mean, I don't know if maybe those groups should be involved.
I think we need to make sure that those groups are still actively taking care of their areas, because sometimes, again, they get away
I'd be
from.
more than happy to write letters. to
Yeah, that'd be
those
good,
groups.
thank you.
But one thing I would like, just make sure that the committee knows that they would be coming to us, because to me, it's important. I mean, like you say, and I've seen this myself, the same as you all, like Mike just said, everybody starts off, they're gonna do this and really great, and but you've got to be careful with landscaping things, because you can plant things that, the next thing you know, you're in there every week and you're weeding and everything else, and it's really labor intensive, and
Yeah. I agree.
it's something I think we need to review before we say, okay, on building certain things.
While we're on that, if it's okay, I'd like to address the trees.
Yeah.
I've got calls, you guys probably have too, and, I think there are a lot of people not totally understanding what we did out there. Tell me when I get wrong on this, but I think I'm telling this accurately. We started on this because we had a tree fall, limbs fall on a car last year. We had stuff coming out of trees that was just can destroy paint jobs. And so we had Tom Springston look at what we could do, our extension agent, and I had a lady call me and I had to explain all this. And in the process, he found 4 trees that probably did need to be taken down. And so we were going to have the city do it, and there were some issues right there. So Randy graciously just did it on his own, because we were talking probably close to $5,000 to take these trees down if we hired somebody. You did it for zilch, big zero, thank you.
Yeah,
And in the process now, we've got the stumps to come out.
the city's
And
gonna.
I will
City,
say
well, now,
something.
wait a minute.
I can't afford to do that for everybody, all
I
right?
know. Well, what I was gonna say is our highway department, the city's gonna loan us their stump grinder.
Yeah.
And our highway department is going to take them out. So we still saved about 4,000 there, if I've got my numbers right, from what I saw bids coming in. And at the same time, there's people upset because they want the trees back. And, obviously, they're gone, so. But in this whole process, went to see Tom Springston again. He got with Gene Robbins, which Gene told me she's willing. They've got trees out there they can donate. Large trees, we're not talking sap, can replace what we got. And,
Well, it depends on what they are.
well, Tom sent me a little message a while ago. He said there's some would be good for our courtyard, some wouldn't be. So I can show you that email from him. But he also sent me a message too, that the 4th tree is worse than he thought it was and needs to come down.
Actually, the
Right.
5th tree, I think.
He recommended we get with somebody, probably, what's the forester's name? Tom.
Stumpy?
Tom Rabbit.
Tom Rathett.
Rather.
He might take a look at it and see what needs to be done. But so far, we've really done all this without any money. There may be some money moving trees up here, there may be this, but we're probably talking what would have been $10,000 so far. We really haven't had any money in it.
Yeah.
So I think there's some misconception of people out there when they see the trees down, it's like, oh my God, they've done something awful here. But the tree over here, one over here, I think is actually capable at Christmas time of dropping on people where they have the Christmas house.
Right.
So that's not like we just get a thrill out of cutting trees down.
Well, the one tree, the maple tree out here was cut because it was busting the sidewalk up.
Yeah.
And there is a tree out here that's still marked with a tape that needs to come out. And the one beside the sidewalk, beside the bison, is rotted. I mean, and that's one that Tom didn't even flag, but I want him to look at it and see if it's salvageable or if it's not. It probably, and it's a huge tree.
Okay.
But I'm seeing dead and dead and dead, and I don't know if lightning struck it or what, but you're right. I've got a couple of calls from people going, well, why'd you do that? Well, you know, once you explain it to them, then.
Yeah, generally, I understand it now, yeah.
But what I'd like to see, and I mean, this is my opinion, I'm one person, but, I'd like to see a tree or something, 1, 2, or whatever, that comes back in as some sort of flowering ornamental type of tree that, you know, when somebody drives by here in the spring, it's gonna be a different color and maybe something else later, and not just build a tree or plant trees that are gonna be in a forest that are gonna grow 150 feet tall, and okay, we got a big tree here and it's gonna drop a bunch of leaves.
Which is 100, the big cypress tree up front.
Oh,
I measured the height of that today, just real FYI.
But anyway,
It's about 110 feet tall.
When we get ready,
Tom Springton right here.
when we get ready to put trees back in, I would really like to put some thought in that, because you know, I think we need to have some color here, I mean.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So anyway.
Well, he had
just
some
send
out there,
that
he thought it'd be
forward.
good, some
Well,
wouldn't.
I'd like to see something native of Indiana, you know, just, that represents Indiana. You know.
Well,
Scott County don't have its own tree, does it?
I don't know.
we got
There's been
we
lot
got
of-
a space tree over there.
There's been a lot of branches tore off of trees that I could call a maple.
Well, anyway, we have some options here, and I wanted to bring what little bit I've
Yeah.
got about it, and we can look at the trees out there at Robin's Nursery, or look at other options.
But
Well, I think that's a good idea.
I'd like to make it clear though that I am not putting my opinion out there of what trees to be taken. I have not gave any suggestion what trees to be taken.
Oh, it didn't come from you.
It's, I just want to be clear on that.
Yeah,
I'm just,
it was a suggestion from our, you know,
it's one thing to do
extension
in North
office.
Dakota.
And quite honestly, to be upfront, we asked him to go look, and some of those trees, he said, you know, it's not a good tree for that area, so.
You know, and because the courtyard is a big deal, but you guys know this, we're constantly having the highway department out to clip trees somewhere along the roads. So a lot of trees are took down in a year's time, and the courtyard is the focal point of Scott County. So well, you're right, we wanna make it look.
I think it needs to look a lot better, and we've had it, so, and that's gonna take some work, so, and maybe it's volunteer work, maybe it's some other. So.
Sidewalk.
Actually, I've asked I've asked Josh to, get us some estimates on seeing what it would cost to put a sidewalk inside the curb all the way around the courtyard. And one reason I think is for improve the looks. The main reason is to get people that are pulling up to the curb to get out, to come into the courthouse, that they are going to exit their car and walk to the front of their car to a sidewalk that they're going to get on, and not step to the back of their car and try to walk behind them in the center of the road to try to get to where the sidewalk is. Knock on wood, I think we've been very lucky that somebody hadn't been run over. And I'm not for sure that we haven't had somebody get hit, but I just think I've asked Josh to look at it, ask for to get some quotes on what it could cost, so that we know, hey, is it even a feasible thought process, or is it too much money and we can't do it? So I know Randy went out because I talked to people at the city sometime back, and there's a lot of poles that's been put in over the years, and some of those poles are not in line. They're this way, that way. I think Randy said he went out and measured it with Josh and said, if you came 6 foot off the curb out, you're going to clear everything. So there would be a grassy area between the curb to the sidewalk, but still it would be a sidewalk that somebody could walk away from their car and not get hit.
No,
So.
no, I'm sorry. They misspoke to me. Coming from the curb 6 feet out and encompasses.
So the sidewalk, concrete would be in all that 6 foot?
Yes.
Okay.
It would be a 6 foot wide concrete from the curb.
Okay. And and the poles would be encompassed in the sidewalk?
Into the sidewalk. But that would also give you room to
walk.
To walk, and if somebody put up a lawn chair for the parade or something, you could still get by them.
Okay.
In that area.
And also the reason Randy was looking at it along with Josh is that we wanted to know exactly what we were going to tell everybody that was we were going to ask for a quote from to bid the same thing. So,
Yeah.
So.
And we're bringing this in at a time right now and kind of pushing this along right at this moment, because once the tree stumps are removed, we're gonna need dirt.
Yeah.
And since the sidewalk is gonna give us an abundance of dirt, and also we have a low area over here by the bison, it's all timing.
Yeah.
To make it the cheapest way possible for us.
Okay. Well, once we get those bids, we can look at it, see if
I
it's
don't know if
even.
we've had any thoughts, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Have we any thoughts about how we're gonna pay for this?
That's
Yeah.
exactly what I was getting at, was that, how you gonna pay for it, and what's it gonna cost? I mean, it may be something we think, oh yeah, we can do that, or it might be something we go, wow, okay, someday, some way, we'll do that, so.
I did a rough estimate, and this is what just materials is, and if we done it right now, it's a volatile market out there right now, right? So, and it was, materials alone would be $26,900, so $27,000 for a sidewalk. But that's, like I
That's
said,
not with the labor.
that's no labor, that is just materials.
So, all right, well, we get those estimates, we'll address it at that meeting, but, just moving along here. Consideration of the March regular monthly claims. Everybody had an opportunity to look at those?
I did.
All right, I'm gonna be controversial here. I'm gonna ask to have four of them pulled out, because, and I want an explanation of what, I want more information, I guess, on what they are. Let me see if I can find it. I'll just gonna give you the numbers if that's what you need.
Before you're doing that, are we okay with letting the city go ahead and get a stump grinder and let the highway department get moving on that?
I asked the mayor, he goes, whatever you guys need, let me know.
I mean, is it okay to get started on that? That's what I'm asking,
Yeah, I
rather than
think
wait
so.
on sidewalks and all
I
that.
know we needed to vote on.
Yeah.
And then on moving the trees, we wanna take a look at what Gene's got before we make actions there.
Yeah, I wanna know what they're talking about planning.
And
So
I can-
if you'll send me that email or whatever.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
Tammy, what do you need to know?
The vendor, yeah, that would help me, cause it's all alphabetized.
It's the 1, 2, 3, 4, it's the 4 Walgreens. And I want an explanation of, who is, that we're buying for.
It's HIPAA protected, I think. If it's an actual, medical expense.
It's a prescription, I'll just be honest here, it's a HIV prescription. But I'm not gonna approve these 4 without knowing who I'm paying for, so.
When we received the claim, the HIPAA information was blacked out.
I get that, but
Yeah.
I'm not paying for something that I don't know what I'm paying for, so. And, as a past manager of a major corporation, I had the same right and the same, privy, I guess I wanna say, to know who I'm paying for and what I'm paying for, so those 4 Walgreens bills, I wanna know more information on them, and the reason I wanna know that is not particularly what it is, it's why, because, the state's still paying for people or I say the state, the ADAP is still paying for inmates in jail up to 180 days. I wanna make sure that these 4 people that are having prescriptions are,
Past the 180.
have been in there past 180 days, and also I wanna know if they've been sentenced. Because if they have been sentenced, then this amount can be reimbursed to the Department of Corrections. And I wanna be able to know that too. And I was tracking this for the last year until November, when the report that I was getting that I could track, not necessarily the person, but possibly the person.
I would suggest just not approving, or I would suggest, if you don't want to approve a particular claim, I would just outline the claim number you don't
That's what
want
I'm,
to approve. Yeah.
I'm gonna, there's 4 here, and that I guess, I don't know what she's asking, if she's asking me
Just
why,
give me the amount.
what the information I want.
Just the vendor and the amounts, it's all Walgreens,
It's all
right?
Walgreens,
Okay.
one's 344105, 387359, 344105, and 387359. 2 of them are the same, and the other 2 are the same.
And they were 34, what were they?
The 344105 was for times 2,
Okay,
and the 387359 was times 2,
okay,
so.
all right.
So anyway, outside of those, 4, does anybody else got anything that they wanna question here?
No, everything else is all right.
So I'll entertain a motion to approve, I guess the claims outside of the 4. I'm saying I'm not gonna vote for, so.
Who made the motion?
I'll make a motion to move all claims but the 4 you're concerned
Yeah.
about.
Okay.
Okay, I'll make that motion.
John makes that motion, Randy seconds that, and I'll make that unanimous, so I appreciate it, cause I just want more information. I'm not saying we always owe it, I just wanna make sure I know what I'm paying for.
That's kind of our job. Yeah.
Payroll ratification for March the 25th. Everybody had an opportunity to look at the payroll?
I'll make the motion, I'll look at it. yeah.
John made the motion to accept that,
I second.
Randy seconds that, and I'll make that unanimous. Consideration of the minutes for the special joint meeting, February the 17th, special meeting on February the 25th, and the regular meeting on March the 2nd. Everybody had an
I'll
opportunity to
look at them and I'll make a motion pass.
John made a motion to pass all the minutes. Randy?
I second that motion.
Randy seconds that, and I'll make that unanimous. The last thing, or one of the things here is a reminder for the council meeting for that special art meeting on Monday, or Tuesday, actually, March the 12th. And,
Yes,
yes,
the second special meeting. at 11:30. We're
And
gonna have
the
two.
second meeting on the 12th. Counselor, do you have any comments?
I have nothing at this time, although I'm sorry I was late and
Well, Dr. Pay.
I had issues with my vehicle.
Oh, anyway, I'm going to, we're not gonna act on this, but I do see a letter here from the sheriff that I want to, I guess I'll read, I guess. You know about this?
I saw it in the packet, I just have a question, when was this sent?
They brought it over to me this
It
morning.
says April 5th.
Okay, but is it addressed to the commissioners?
Yeah.
But the concern is regarding funding, which is a council issue, right?
I think that's accurate.
Is that, am I misunderstanding that, or?
No, you're
Yeah,
right.
that's correct.
Okay.
That's correct. But the
So-
crossover is that the commissioners, it's about, a lot of auxiliary functions that the inmate crews worked on.
So I guess just informing the commissioners that maybe.
Of their situation, I guess
we will have to
financially,
allocate certain resources to do things that we didn't have to do.
that they had done in the past.
Okay.
If I got my information right, he was cut money last year in the budget.
Well, and for
That's-
22's budget.
I mean, yeah, last year for this year's
A
budget.
lot of the emergency, after I received the letter, I checked with Teresa about budget cuts to see what line items were, because she keeps records of
Mhm.
the line items and what during budget proceedings that they cut. And it was, the emergency overtime comp line or emergency compensation line that was cut 30,000. And that obviously has to do with payroll and extra crews to run. And then the thing started up with Austin and Scottsburg cities paying for the time of the jailer that oversees the crews. So I think that's the basis for the 15.
Robocalls.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
You're telling
I guess my question here, I know that he came to us last year, I think, and said, hey, let's do this deal with Scottsburg and Austin and us, and with that, he was going to hire another part-time jailer. So I guess down at the bottom here, it says currently being paid 15 from Austin, 15 to Scottsburg. Is that gonna stop and they're gonna reimburse him?
No, that I think is continuing on. Matter of fact, he said that Austin
So
and
he's not gonna
Scottsburg
mow
wants
for
more
us,
time.
but he's not gonna mow for us, but he's gonna still work for them.
Well, it has to do with the financing of the payroll for the extra hours that the jailer needs, because the jailer can't be in the jail. They have to be separated from the jail and supervise
I get
the
that.
crew.
But
So that's a separate jailer, because they can't do both. So that's what he was just putting in their reference to the Austin expenses, and that his budget was cut 30 for compensation, additional compensation, which he used those monies to help fund extra jailers to watch the crews when they're out of the jail.
That's what I understood.
So it was a budget cut that put constraints on his payroll. Austin and Scottsburg are additional revenue. So that covers that, but his budget was cut. So he doesn't have the
So I
extra
thought that's-
revenue to
I
pay
thought-
for the jail.
I thought that was their meeting on Tuesday. When did they cut anything?
No, this was at budget time.
Last year.
So what got approved by the state was already cut. That was
Okay.
during budget hearings.
All right, so that has nothing to do with any new cuts?
No, nothing to do with anything new. That's when he said at the meeting with the council, he said, you guys, we cut my budget a lot at budget time, so how am I gonna cut any more? It was just a rhetorical question.
Yeah.
So he made that comment, and so I called Teresa today, and she did verify that at budget time, not recent,
Yeah.
that he was cut 30,000.
Does the county have a mower strike?
Actually, the the sheriff has a mower that was bought out of the commissary, and a trailer bought out
Which
of
is
the
his, because
commissary.
it bought out, it was
Yeah,
bought.
which is the
So the
sheriff's.
county have,
Yeah, we have 1-0 attorney that belongs to the county highway, and then there's, I guess, does the other two belong to the cemetery
board,
committee?
yeah.
So, yeah, there's one.
And they,
And we
I don't
use it,
think they can,
we use it quite a bit,
maybe an
actually.
emergency situation, but their funds are not for maintenance of county properties. Does that make sense? Like the highway, they can't really
Yeah,
come here and
the only
mow.
thing we would have on
No.
that would be, I mean, well, I guess everything, as far
Yeah.
as the pay goes and everything, the fuel for sure.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure on how the pay comes out or what fund it comes out of, and that's not my alley there.
Yeah, because their monies are allocated and earmarked only for highway work. They can't, with their funds, they can't be paid to mow property of the other county properties.
What we're using the zero turn for?
Mowing our property, or the highway's property.
They can do that's their own facility, but not other county properties. Their funds can't be used for maintenance of other county properties.
All right, well, I just
Which I don't know
whatever,
if we
so.
can code that and pull it out of something else or not.
And then we'd kind of be in the same boat, because we'd have to have an appropriation in some other fund to compensate for the overtime that your guys would be into. Or either you would shorten your work schedule to avoid overtime and put them on mowing detail paid out of another fund to make their 40 hours up. Does that make sense? Because if they work over 40, that fund's gonna have to come up with time and a half
Well,
of their wages.
We'll come up,
Yeah.
we'll figure out the time. Not worried about that, as long as we can figure out the funding, where it needs to come from.
And your payroll's 19, 30 something, 32, 31, 32 an hour, and jailers are 17.55.
So we need to make a motion.
Can you also,
Not a motion, but
before we
we
go
No.
on to the next thing, we don't have to do
Consider
anything.
taking-
No.
Yeah, yeah,
We
it's
need to
not us.
consider opening up the possibilities of taking bids for mowing, or the idea of asking summer help from maybe some college students that want to work through the summer on mowing the grass.
I think the purpose of this letter was to say, hey, I'm still willing to do these things if council
We gotta pay the waiver.
goes along with
Increasing the budget.
giving him 15,000 on what they cut back to cover the, because
Right.
so in addition to that, I think they mow different places.
But best I understand, they do the health department, courthouse, museum. He did do Pigeon Roost for a while, but we got the cemetery board on that one. Does EMS have a mower? The reason I'm asking, they used to mow out there, that's the reason I was
No.
asking. What happened to it, you know?
I didn't know they ever had a mower.
Yeah, I mean,
I know,
yeah, they used to mow it. I don't know, maybe they used a personal one, I don't know.
I don't know that they ever had a mower, because
Did
the
they,
county or actually, I know my son mowed the field back there in the back
Yeah.
one time,
Yeah.
because he was mowing at the hospital, but,
did the jailers do, the jail, and crew do the
They may
ditch
have.
of the our health department ditch?
yeah.
For some
they
reason
did.
online, I think they did the ditch, and then they did some extra volunteer work, like you said, off and on at Pigeon Roost
Mhm.
and the
Well, we had-
museum, I think
My
sometimes.
son did it free of charge too.
He did. He did.
Yeah.
Well, I told him not to do it, and he did it anyway. He was
For
just
the
bush,
camera yard.
he was just bush hogging.
Of course, I think our answer is really, since I've talked to the judge and talked to Amanda both, they both seem like they're willing to get the corrections thing going again. They have a mower. If we can just get everybody to work on one goal here, I mean, that probably won't help us this summer. But if we can get corrections doing it again like they used to, it's
Yeah.
paid for.
Also,
outside the gas.
Yeah.
Other than the 15,000.
Well, I don't think it's gonna help us this summer, but I think that's been let go for the last 2 or 3 years and never been resurrected. But I know Amanda's told me she's willing to do it, the judge is willing to work in that direction. And it's always the issue of having enough inmates, or not inmates,
Community service.
service people over there willing to work.
Well, that was always a twisted conversation,
Yeah.
because when Mr. Gibson was there, he came in here and said that they weren't getting, community, or people into community corrections that had, community service
Mhm.
tacked on to their sentence. And, which to me sounded to me like it went to the judge or prosecutor or
Mhm.
whatever, that wasn't happening. And I don't know where the miscommunication was there, but, that's where we got in the mess in the first place.
I'd like to see that one, but that's, I'm not
I
sure that's
would.
even in our hands anymore.
Well, it would be something that they would have to reintroduce, because if someone's getting community service and they're not doing community
Yes.
service, then, you know.
And I think this group used to do all these properties.
They used to.
Yeah.
But
That
they
would
also
be-
had a crew out there that, or I think maybe one or two guys that would come in and go around with them.
We
They
used to
did.
have the part-time, field officers
Yeah,
Rural
that would
Seal.
come in
Yeah.
Rural
and
Seal did it
Yeah.
for a while.
community corrections, because it was a sentencing option, paid for these part-timers through their grant to watch the crews that were
Well,
community
And
corrections
actually, I think,
sentenced.
I think this started way before Jerry, because I know, even before him, they was mowing the museum.
Kenny,
The sheriff
Kenny
was.
bought the,
Yeah.
when corrections quit,
Yeah.
when Sheriff Eubanks was in, he bought out of commissary the mower and a trailer and said, I'll mow it all, and they were mowing everything. The museum and as well as, you know, anything that we said, hey, something needs to be mowed, they'd go mow it. But I guess where the question I wanna ask is, does Josh's budget have anything to where for mowing of the county properties? I mean,
And not
since
specifically
he's the
mowing.
maintenance, you know,
I think that's a good idea.
I mean,
Well, somebody's gotta mow it.
somebody's gotta mow it, otherwise we can fence it in, not do the sidewalks. We can fence it in, put goats and sheep in there.
So I think the sheriff was just letting you guys know that he
He
would need to
was.
approach council to, I mean, it
When I
could
approached about
start, literally, it could start, but then if he runs short of funds, he may have
Yeah.
to quit. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I went to him last week when I heard about this, and I said, hey, we gotta get this stuff mowed, and that's it's not, he typed that up, not at my request, but that was his thing, he said, I gotta have somebody pay for the jailer to come over here, he's willing to do it. Matter of fact, I said, we gotta get this mowed, and he's like, yeah, I'll do it, but whether we just have to decide what direction we wanna go. I would actually hiring somebody out would be the last choice for me, because I think that would probably be more expensive. I
Actually,
don't know that for a fact.
I'm gonna tell you it's cheap.
It might, well, we're talking all summer, we're talking about 5 or 6 properties. Maybe it would be.
I think we need to bid it and see what it is, and then we can make a good, decision on, what it's gonna cost, and, if we hired it out.
I'm not ready to go there yet, I'll just.
I know that,
But I mean, that may be the answer.
It may be cheaper than
It might
just
be.
$15,000.
Like for me, it would be more along the lines of, to show everybody, what the savings are and where the savings are.
If we can do it cheaper than that, I agree with that, I just think we need to look at.
I'm gonna say that the sheriff's department more likely can do it cheaper than somebody else,
Yeah.
Obviously.
Mhm.
But I think to help the council, we should produce those numbers.
I ain't got no problem with that.
That's all I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I think we ought to see that.
And also, too, just from appropriation standpoints, you can appropriate the 15,000, but if the expenses aren't there for payroll and the gas, if it ends up being 12, it's gonna just go to the next year's beginning balance. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, again, it's something that claims, and you guys will watch the claims, and things will be monitored, and those type of things. And it, that can be looked at to see if it's cost effective. Does that make sense? From that standpoint, because fuel's not cheap, and there's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, and I guess I need to make myself clear. The reason I'm saying this is because for somebody who does not run a mower, they might be really blindsided and surprised to see how much it actually does cost. So that's why I'm saying, I think that we should do this, to do our due diligence for the council, to see what they're really looking at, so there's not a big fuss.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? I mean,
I have no problem with all
I think you
comparing
need to know,
value.
hey, if the sheriff's gonna do it, this is what it's gonna cost us. If we hire it out, here's what it's gonna cost us. So we make a decision. I mean, so anyway, John, you got anything else?
No, that was.
Brandon, you got anything else?
No.
Counselor?
I don't have any.
Tammy?
I'm good.
Marty, you got anything over there?
You're good?
All right, I'll entertain a motion to close the meeting. I told John he'd talk until it was after
8
hours.
o'clock, I'm trying to.
Hey, I was pretty quiet.
Better than 9:30.
I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make motion.
John made a motion
Adjourn
to adjourn.
I say, I guess.
Randy seconds it because he needs to go home and I'll
It feels
make that
weird
unanimous.
leaving here before that dark.
I kept looking